Want to keep your hairline where it is? Through Hims.com, you can explore a range of options that work best for you, so you can grow visibly thicker and fuller hair in just 3 to 6 months. Keep it looking strong for years to come with doctor-trusted ingredients like finasteride, minoxidil, and a blend of supplements that support healthy hair. 3 in 4 Hims customers say they wish they started using hair treatment earlier. Get ahead now to keep the hair you love. Get started today at Hims.com.
Let's explore your future with Udemy. You can learn how to program and build websites, study design and create logos, improve your presentation skills, and sell your ideas. With Udemy, you can learn practical skills from thousands of online courses taught by real-world experts. Explore your future. Udemy.
The Michael K. Show on Yes is brought to you by Untuck It. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
Is August 6th, 2024. And the original show is back together, the one from back in 2002, Michael and Don.
Was that open your idea, Michael?
No, it wasn't. And I was thinking this is the first time Don's heard the prepubescent Joey Salvia original song. I mean, his voice was so high.
Oh, my God. That was such a long time ago.
And the reason we ran that, or they're running that, is because it says 1050, and we're trying to get people to reset their preset. Right. So these next couple of weeks are on 1050 and 98.7.
Perfect. And you sound like somebody who did radio already today.
I did. And I did. And, you know, I got a little sobering news because I know it doesn't bother you because you're a man that's secure in your masculinity and you're secure in your professional greatness. I understand that. But ever since we've been doing these mashup shows, we're able to judge instantly just from streaming, because a lot of people are listening on streaming, who had the highest rated show. So it had been me and Rick, which was the first show. Then the show that really came closest to me and Rick was you and Dave.
Right.
And now I was on with Dave at the end of the show. Both Alan and I were on with Dave. And Dave said, whatever happens, I just want one fewer person to stream you guys than me and Don. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, more people streamed me and Alan. And the only one that had a better rating, and obviously he's the talent of the station, is Rick DiPietro. But I know that that's going to really bug Dave. It doesn't bother you at all, but Dave, it will really rankle.
Well, you think I just call you the transmitter because it's cute and funny, or because it's true? Different transmitter, obviously, going to 1050, but still, it remains.
No, I think here's the key, Don. I'm looking at it a different way. I think the powerhouse show in the history of the station was Hahn and Humpty, because they have drawn the highest ratings. That's the way I look at it. I think I'm just a side piece, so to speak.
I don't think that's on brand. But I think that you were the common denominator on both of those shows. And I guess that's not great for management, that you think that the great combination is Hahn and Humpty. They both work at the same radio station, but not together anymore.
Yeah, you know what? We've made some strange maneuvers management-wise.
Well, that's it. But it's all working out. Great job today. I got a chance to listen a little bit. A little Knicks, little Yankees.
We're going to revisit a lot of it.
And how much things have changed. I went away.
Where'd you go? Any place good?
It was a staycation. We spent a day at Sesame Place. Yesterday we were over at the Sussex County Fair, which was a lot of fun. And just little day trips here and there, just a little decompression. And then next week is when I'm going to go down the shore, and then that'll be it. Then it's on, Michael. Then it is on. Like
Donkey Kong. Yeah.
And we're just going to be, nose down right through the Christmas holidays. So we're having our fun now. But wow, what a difference a week makes in the way the Yankees are playing, the way the Mets are playing. Football's now back. Knicks have a captain. It's good to be back.
It is good to have you back. Like I said on the mashup show today, It's nice every now and then to spread your wings and do a show alone. But I truly miss you. Peter, I can take a, whatever, but I missed you.
Well, I missed you too. And we stayed in touch, which was nice.
Yes.
But nothing like being able to do the show as it was really meant to be, as God intended.
God intended. God had intention with this. Now,
yes.
I want to start off with a short little bit that I said on my show on the show yesterday, and also today. So I was all around the city yesterday doing some stuff, and I parked on the west side of Manhattan. I took a cab to the east side of Manhattan for an appointment, and the driver in the cab was of Puerto Rican descent, I believe.
Okay.
And he's driving, and so I'm going, to 34th Street on the east side. And I'd say right around 40th Street or 49th Street, his phone rings, and he's got his phone up on his dashboard. And you can see he's talking to somebody he loves. It was in Spanish, but there's affection there.
Okay.
And you know what came up on the phone?
What?
Mi amor por vida. The love of my life.
Oh.
And then I started to think, you know what I have Jody under? Jody Applegate.
Really?
Because that's what when I met her and got her number, that's what I put in, and I haven't changed it. And I said, that's really bad. So then I was telling Alan Hahn this, and he said, well, he has his wife's name, but he has the best picture of her that pops up when he calls. Okay.
Yeah. So
and you know what I have when Jody calls?
What?
Well, you don't have an iPhone. A gray circle with JA in white.
Oh, no.
So, what do you have Nancy under?
I have Nancy under Nancy LaGreca.
So I don't feel that bad.
And I have the picture, well, at least I'm acknowledging that I'm married to her.
Well, Jody didn't take my last name. What do you want me to do?
Well, I don't know. But so I got Nancy LaGreca.
Right.
And I have a picture of from the NICU when they were born, Nancy holding our two children, the twins. And that's the picture that comes up.
I'm too clerical is what you're saying.
Well, you're just not making an effort, man.
Well, I know who it is. It's Jody Applegate.
I know, but you got to realize it's like why your mom used to tell you got to wear clean underwear in case you get into an accident.
Right.
It's the same thing with the phone. God forbid you get in an accident and they've got to find the person to call to let the family know. They're going to look and go, it's not even under, it's Applegate. It just says Jody Applegate, not even Jody Applegate K.
Right.
There's no picture, and they're instantaneously going to think, the way I've kind of joked around, that it's just more of an arrangement than a marriage.
But the only one who's going to see that guy, the only one who sees
the paramedic to see that there's love there.
But they're not going to be looking in my phone.
Yeah, they're going to look in the phone to call. You're in bad shape. You're on your way to the emergency room. They're going to take your phone and they're going to look for wife. They're going to look for a common name to call. So they're going to see Nancy LaGreca. That must be his wife. Call and like, oh, that's a nice picture of the twins. They're going to say there's love there, and then they're going to let my wife know that I was in an accident. Who's going to call? They're going to call your sister.
Well, you know what? Here's the weirdest thing. I don't know how this happened. But when you look in my contacts, there's one contact with a star on it as my emergency contact. You know who it is? Mike Breen.
Okay.
I don't know how it happened. I didn't do it.
So God forbid you get in an accident during the NBA Finals, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're right. It's a great point.
But these are things you got to think of. They're going to be scrolling through your phone.
But
they're going to be making phone calls.
Don't you believe that the worst part is that yours is nice with the twins in the NICU? But this guy had mi amor por vida, my love of my life.
Yeah, you know what? I think he's holding on too tight.
You know what?
Right?
You think he's overboard?
I think he's trying too hard.
Interesting.
That might be a relationship that's destined to fail.
Wow.
A little too close.
A little too close.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to do some inside radio here.
All right.
Jacob, you've given me a Zoom invite with absolutely nothing that can work. It can't even be called up.
Well, that's not going to work for us.
No.
Well, I mean, I could help you if you knew you've got a full bank. Everything's going well.
Well, I love it, but I'd like to see it too. But
you got 14 minutes left in a segment.
I could do the math, but
okay.
All right, so the Knicks have a new captain.
Yeah.
And that is Jalen Brunson. And it's funny, one of the things I said to Alan Hahn And I think we're supposed to have Alan on a little later on the show, too, to talk about this.
Why not?
Don, I think you feel the same way. I don't know for sure. I didn't run this by you. There is no way that I will accept them putting a C on his uniform.
No, you don't do that.
Well, I mean, but Keith Hernandez did.
And
He's,
it was
he's as
really,
cool as could be.
No, he was corny. That was corny. And I'm a Met fan. That was corny.
Now, Alan also, you know this. Alan said that they put the C and the A on hockey jerseys because back in the old days, those are the only players that could talk to the officials.
Right, and it still exists now where there'll be some sort of a conversation that needs to be had, and the captain will skate over, or if there's no captain, there's somebody that, the two guys that are wearing the A, one of them will skate over. So it does serve a purpose in hockey. It really doesn't serve a purpose on the field in any other sport. But in hockey, it does serve a purpose, and you want to be able to know who the captain is. That's why they wear the C. But it's more ceremonial than anything else in other sports. It doesn't act as an in-game function, so there's no reason to have a C on the jersey.
Oh, other than just pretentiousness.
Right, and I think football, I don't know if teams do it, but the captains do wear a C at the bottom of the collar.
But I think that's something that they sell on uniforms. That's
I think that's just part of what the NFL wants, but it doesn't serve as a function where the official has to now look, who to go talk to. And listen, obviously, if they didn't have a C, I mean, you'd see back in the day, Mark Messier, you don't need to have him wear a C to know that he's the leader and that's the guy you need to talk to if I'm an official. But I think it's, in other sports, hockey, it serves a bit of a purpose, a function. For the other sports, I think it's more off the court, off the field, off of the surface kind of a deal, so you really don't need it. And listen, I'm a Met fan, and you know how I feel about Keith Hernandez. Love him.
But that was a bad look.
It was corny when he wore it.
I was so fearful, Don, when they named Judge that captain of the Yankees, that they were going to slap a C on his uniform. And I'm so thrilled that they didn't, because I just think it's an awful look. I mean, sometimes when you're the captain, you know what? You exude being the captain. Derek Jeter never had a C on his uniform. Thurman Munson never had a C on his uniform.
No.
Willie Randolph. You don't need it. So please, Knicks, do not put a C on the uniform.
And listen, I don't want to throw cold water on it. I mean, everybody knows he's the leader of the team.
Right.
So it's a nice moment. They made him the captain. That's great. But who was the captain before? I think he's the 36th captain in Knick history. How many can you name?
I'll tell you what, if you a Knick fan, right? The biggest Knick fans in the world would not know the last Knick captain. The biggest Knick fans. Do you have any idea?
Well, obviously, it's not someone you would think of.
No. It was in
recent?
2018, 2019. The last Knick captain before Brunson.
God, 18. I got to go through the rock because they had
I'll
so
give
many
you a clue.
changes.
Crazy eyes.
The crazy eyes.
Yeah, he was crazy eyes killer. He looked like.
Oh, I'll know as soon as you tell me, but I can't think.
Lance
of it from that
Thomas.
Oh,
Remember his eyes?
Listen, I don't want to take away from the moment. It's a great moment, but when you find out who's the last Knick captain, and that's who it is. It tells you it's not really a thing.
Well, also, that was an awful team. I mean, who cares? It's like being the captain on the Titanic.
I'm assuming Patrick Ewing was a captain, and I'm assuming Willis Reed was a captain.
Yes, Willis Reed was the captain.
But I don't know. Was Carmelo a captain?
I don't think he was.
Jacob's shaking his head, yes. I tried to search earlier today. I couldn't even find it.
Yeah, he was the captain along with Amari Stoudemire.
Oh, okay. Well, Brunson is the 18th guard in team history to be named captain.
But you know why that they had to have two captains when it was Carmelo and Amari Stoudemire is because one of them was Carmelo.
Wow.
That doesn't make sense. Well, because nobody wanted it, because there was constant arguments. Oh, when Carmelo comes back, Linsanity's over. Not exactly captain-like. So you probably had to counteract it with somebody that actually had leadership qualities. You think Carmelo had leadership qualities? No, I'm not knocking the guy.
Well, some people are captains in terms of like how great they are. And there are other captains that are real captains that lead the team. Aaron Judge really leads the team.
No, absolutely.
Keith Hernandez really led the team.
Oh, listen, they even talked about it this weekend because there was a moment during the game where there was like I forget exactly what the scenario was, but it might have been Iglesias was at second, and he was whoever was at bat, like showing it, like up the middle's open, go up the middle, and it kind of reminded them. Remember when Keith would like telling Darryl to keep his shoulder in?
Yeah.
Like that's leadership. That's on the field stuff that you really care about. But the perfect example was, you know, who's one of the captains after Mark Messier was Brian Leach, best player on the team. But he wasn't good. He just wasn't that kind of a leader. He didn't excel in that kind of a responsibility. But you're right. Sometimes you just give the seat to the best player. But I do think that in certain sports, Michael, where captaincy is really important, you got to give it to the right guy. And I think clearly the Knicks gave it to the right guy for sure. And good for them to make an announcement about it, but does it move the needle as far as making me think that this is some galvanizing moment for the franchise? No, because we all know how important he is and the kind of leader that he is, and I hope that he doesn't wear a C.
It's interesting. There are some captains that they're the best player on the team, and also they're the leader, but they're not a vocal captain. And one of those guys, Derek Jeter. And I don't think that I think Jalen Brunson's going to be more like Derek Jeter. And when you're a captain like that, you need your Tom Hagen. You need your consigliere. And for Derek Jeter, it was Posada.
Yeah. Posada
would throw down with anybody. If he didn't like the way you played, he'd get right up in your face, and he had the backing of Jeter to do that. And I think, you know, when I talked it over with Alan, the consigliere for Brunson is going to be Josh Hart, because he's that guy that will get in somebody's face and just defend the organization and defend the team and what they're doing. And I think everything's lining up perfectly. The Knicks are doing all things right. They really are.
They are. But if you're going to be a lead by example guy, you have to be great.
Oh, absolutely.
Because again, Aaron Judge walks into a room, because he's Aaron Judge, he's going to captivate the room. He is going to get your attention. I think a role player can be a captain, but then he has to be vocal, because he might not have the stats or the stature within the organization to be able to just walk in a room and get everybody's attention. Judge can do that. Messier was able to do that. Brunson's going to be able to do that. And Brunson's attached to the organization, too. That contract, Michael, as much as that you wondered why he would sacrifice so much, it did empower him within the organization to be a decision maker, to be someone that is completely committed to the organization. So I don't think he's just a leader on the court. I think he's a leader in the boardroom. I think he's a leader everywhere he walks around Madison Square Garden and at the practice facility and on the plane as they're traveling to their destination. He's the man.
Do you? I'm trying to think, though, when, you know, it came, Alan actually broke it on the show, just as the Knicks were announcing it. Has there ever been a guy that's come from as far down on the NBA pecking order to be this guy? I mean, this guy was a backup with the Mavericks, and the Knicks signed him, and everybody thought it was an overpay. And now, you know, he is one of the best players in the game. I can't think of a guy who became a captain that was a nobody. Even Lance Thomas, in his own way, was, you know, a respected, tough guy in the league. But this guy came from a second-round pick. He's just the fourth second-round pick to receive the honor. So, I mean, I give him credit. I really do. Now, it leads into, you know, we mentioned that he took a big haircut to sign the contract to help the Knicks so they don't go over the second apron. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what Julius Randle does. And it's funny because I think now it's a situation where if you don't take a hit for the team, you're going to look like the bad guy, and I'm not going to co-sign that. I think you should get as much as you can and then let the organization figure it out. But it's funny. They could have signed him to an extension on Saturday. They're not going to sign him to an extension because then he's not tradable for 6 months. I'm not saying they want to trade him, but if they ever do want to make that big trade and somebody shakes loose, you need that contract to go to the other team, and also a great player, and he fills both of those needs. But at the end of this year, when he becomes a free agent, he's eligible, Don, for a 5-year, $300 million contract. 5 years, $300 million. So then, if he signs that, that's $60 million a year. All the good that Jalen Brunson did is completely wiped away. And then Jalen Brunson's going to think, well, wait a minute. I took a hit, and now he didn't, because that would put them over the second apron. So everybody's saying, well, Mikal Bridges is going to take, you know, a haircut in order to help the Knicks. I don't think Julius Randle will. And you know what, Don? I don't think it makes him a bad guy. I just don't.
No. I think it made Brunson an even better guy.
It makes him an unbelievable guy.
But I don't think that now has to fall in the lap of every player, whether you judge whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. I don't think you have to do that. And so he should be able to do what he wants to do and what's best for him. Unless, and I don't think Jalen's thinking this way, did Jalen take that pay cut to make it work for Randall?
But it won't. It won't work for Randall.
No, it'll work for Randall getting what he get and Randall staying here.
No, but here's my point. Randall could have signed that contract even if Jalen signed a max contract because they've got his bird rights. But what Jalen did, by keeping them under the second apron, now they can make a trade where you can combine salaries, and they can also bring in mid-level players. If they go over the second apron, they're not allowed to do that. That's why every team is going to be under a lot of heat to get under that second apron. Not that they're cheap, Don, but that second apron gives you maneuverability to get other players.
Yeah,
and Brunson did that. I don't think Randall's going to do it.
Yeah, I don't think Randall's going to do it. And also, if Brunson's going to do something that is not going to work for the betterment of the team, then what did we do?
Right.
So I guess we're just bracing for the fact that he's not going to be here, or unless he's willing to take that haircut too. Did that set the tone? Now, will Randall feel like, hey, I want to be a part of this? He did say during the NBA Finals, he said we when talking about the Knicks, like feeling like everybody looked at that as he wants to be here long term. So does what Brunson did put pressure on Randall to do likewise? Was that a conversation that they maybe had? Hey, this is what I'm willing to do. Are you going to do the same thing?
I don't know if he had the conversation, Don, but I think it does put kind of like an unspoken pressure. Okay, I took a hit. Now you take a hit. And will Randall be embarrassed into doing that? I don't know if he will. I don't know if he should.
But here's the thing. I don't think it makes him a bad guy. You don't think it makes him a bad guy. But how do you think the fans are going to look at it?
Well, you know what? That's unfortunate.
Well, and not even a bad guy, but hey, here's a guy that wanted to be here. Here's a guy that doesn't want to be here. Here's a guy that looked at the money first. Here's a guy that thought team first. So, and you can't get out from under that. Now, we could say to him, or we could say about him, that, hey, he's still a good guy. He's entitled to that money. He should do what's best for him and his family. But still, the fact that Brunson did it makes, if you're going to look at him higher up in the pecking order, then obviously, by definition, you're going to look lower at Randall if he doesn't do it.
And that's not
the way
fair.
The fans are
and you know what? I bet you there's going to be a lot of NBA players that will look at Brunson and go, dude, what'd you do, man? Because you can say, well, LeBron took a hit. No, he didn't. He took $1 million a year hit to keep them under the second apron. $1 million. That's nothing compared to what Brunson did. So that's not even a sacrifice for a guy who literally is a billionaire. LeBron's a billionaire. So it's all about ego. So he took, I think, $1.5 million less per year in the 2-year deal that he signed. Brunson, I mean, it's a lot of money that he lost. And I just don't, I think NBA players are going to look at him and not be happy with him.
Now, he can get it back at some point, but he's obviously taking a risk if something were to happen to him. But I guess he's going to get paid down the road, and he does want to win that championship and what that will entail if he's able to do that. And maybe Randall feels like, all right, I want to do it too. And if Randall does it as well, then goodbye to the myth that nobody wants to play for the Knicks. Heck, you'd have 2 stars taking pay cuts to stay, to be part of this run. So that would change the image of the team completely. But I don't know what Randall's thinking is. Because, again, there could only be one guy that you look up to. Even if Randall does it, Brunson did it first. Brunson's still the star. Brunson's still the man. So Randall might look at it and go, well, I could do the same thing, but am I going to get the same love? Am I going to get the same treatment as him, or do I just want to go out there and do I want to get paid?
It's fascinating. It's going to be a fascinating thing to watch, and I think everybody's going to watch. Everybody's going to say, hey, what's the deal here? And we'll see exactly what they do. And again, I would just caution everybody, don't make that guy out to be a bad guy if he wants to get paid. That's not fair either. That is not fair either. Hey, it's game time, brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. At 7:05, the Yankees begin a 3-game series against the L.A. Angels. And at 8:40, the Mets go all the way back to Colorado, and they meet the Rockies, the first game of a 3-game set out on the West Coast. Well, not quite the West Coast. That's game time, brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cask matured Irish Whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew or try the brand new Tullamore Dew Honey during tonight's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. We got a lot to do. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it. We're on till 6:30. It's going to be great. It's going to be everything you could dream about. It's going to be orgasmic is what it is. That's how good it's going to be.
Even off-brand in this segment.
How is that off-brand? Just makes people happy.
Well, by definition, I would like to have a conversation with a person where that did not make them happy.
All right, we'll do that next, right here on Yes and on ESPN New York.
With ButcherBox, you never have to worry about what's for dinner. We deliver grass-fed beef, organic free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, wild-caught seafood, and so much more. Get high-quality meat sourced from trusted partners with free shipping always. So you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
Switch to Square and join over 4 million businesses worldwide. More than a point of sale, Square keeps you ready for any restaurant rush. And with Square, there are no hidden fees ever. At Square, get 24/7 support to help keep lines moving. And with Square Banking, get a loan quickly for everything from small repairs to the biggest dreams. Gain time and peace of mind with restaurant tools that bring everything together. Switch to Square today. Visit square.com to get started.
Investing is not for everyone, right? Wrong. Wealth comes from pennies. Like oaks come from acorns. Wealth comes from the decision to invest, to bury your acorns, give them time to grow into a mighty oak like squirrels do. You see, investing was never meant to be an exclusive club. You just didn't have the right tools for it. Now you do, buckaroo. Acorns. Grow your own. Look at that. Beautiful.
Want to get juicy? Sip on this super fresh and tasty blend of ripe strawberry and crisp lemon that's so bold. It just asks for your number. That's right. It's time to love soda again.
With Home Chef's new family menu, cooking for the whole family is so simple. You go from step 1 to done with practically no fuss. Simply prep, cook, and enjoy with the whole family. Get 18 free meals today at homechef.com.
Meet Pair Eyewear, the only glasses brand that lets you change your glasses like you change your clothes. Simply snap on a top frame and you're ready to go. Now you can customize a look for every outfit, every occasion, and every day. With hundreds of designs to choose from, Pair makes it easy to match your style and build a collection you'll love. You can even snap on a sun top to instantly turn your pair into sunglasses. Start building your collection today at paireyewear.com.
There's an easier way. With Thumbtack. Download the app today and care for your home from top to bottom.
Film and packaging tape are delivered the very next day at amazingly low prices. So, who do you call for fast delivery and no expensive freight charges? Who but WB Mason?
This is the GMC Sierra, powered by the TurboMax engine, with the confidence of 430 pound-feet of best-in-class standard torque. GMC Sierra, it's the truck. Get 1.9% APR on select 2024 Sierra 1500 models, or current eligible GMC owners get over $7,800 total value. We are professional grade GMC.
Have fun playing the game. Little League, I mean, have fun playing the game. Like, I look back at those, like 10, 11, 12-year-old days of playing Little League baseball and hanging out at the field all day Saturday. Play your game, you watch all your buddies play. You eat hot dogs and nachos and slushies, and you're playing on the side. There's nothing better than those days and nothing better about the game. I also had the opportunity to do a couple Little League World Series when I was with ESPN. It's an amazing place, an amazing event, and to get to go be part of that experience this year, I'm looking forward to, but I think will be an amazing experience for our players too.
Welcome back to the Michael K. Show. So the Giants and the Lions are having practice in East Rutherford. It's gotten a little chippy, Don. And Malik Neighbors, Giant first-round pick, everybody says he's like a generational talent, has gotten into some real brawls, scraps. And we were talking with our pinhead suit, John Winthrop, and he's concerned about it. And you know what? I'm not at all. Doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't make him a bad guy. Makes him highly competitive.
I just need to know the context of these brawls. Is he highly competitive? Is he being a diva? Is he being a nozzle? Is he being a bad teammate? Because if you remember the Hard Knocks, one of the questions that these receivers all were asked when they came in and talked to Dable, like, how are you going to react when Jones doesn't get you the ball, if you're not going to be targeted? And because they wanted to know, are you going to be a team player? Are you going to be a guy that's going to go into the huddle and get upset that he's not getting the ball or that the pass wasn't accurate? So it was obviously important for the Giants for these guys to be team players. So I need the context of this fight. I'm with you, Michael. If it's just high-spirited competitiveness, and then that's an edge you're looking for. Remember, Rex Ryan used to love it when his teams would fight each other. It meant they were ready for the war, according to him. But if it's because he's being a nozzle and a bad teammate, then I would probably agree with the pinhead suit, John, that it is a problem. So I need to know the context in which this happened.
I think that's fair if he's starting it, but if he's just like getting caught up in the moment, I want a guy like that on my team. I don't want a dirty guy. I don't want a guy out of control. But, I mean, Daniel Jones was scrapping yesterday, too.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing?
Well, because, again, the context is important, Michael, because what if he got in somebody's face because that guy wasn't being competitive enough or wasn't where he was supposed to be? Maybe he's trying to become a leader. Again, I don't think it's – I didn't like it when Rex was almost staging these fights. It gets a little comical at times. But football is a highly competitive sport, especially this time of year. Guys are battling for jobs, battling for positions. We don't know what kind of team this is going to be. Everybody's on edge, and these things are going to happen. It's football, after all. Get over it. But I just need to know if he's being a nozzle or whether he's being a good teammate. And I guess we'll find out as time goes on whether this becomes an issue. But I kind of lean towards you. Give me somebody that's fired up, competitive, wants to win, came from a winning environment, coming to a place that's not a winning environment, that maybe needs more guys like that.
Now, I think there's going to be a seismic change, and you're going to laugh at me.
Okay.
I think Daniel Jones is going to have a better year. Now, obviously, he's going to have a better year because he was hurt last year, but one of the better years he's ever had. The beard makes him look tough.
You think one has something to do with the other?
Because when he's clean shaven, he looks like, a dookie. Like he just doesn't look tough at all. And he got those wide eyes, and almost looks like a doe. But you put a beard on this guy, he has a little tougher look to him, and he's scrapping yesterday. I'm telling you, it's going to be a big difference, Don.
Well, you know what? This is going to go over everybody's head. But it's one of the reasons why I like the movie Nighthawks.
Okay.
It was Sylvester Stallone with the beard. It gave a guy with an edge an even bigger edge.
You like Stallone with the beard?
Yeah, it really, anybody that saw the movie, and it goes back to the early 80s, Rutger Hauer was in it. You never saw it? It's a good movie.
I don't remember seeing it, no.
Go check it out. You'll enjoy it. I don't think one has anything to do with the other. I do agree with you. I think Daniel Jones is going to have a good year. I don't know if it's because of the beard, but anything, Michael, because I know Eli had that kind of look on his face, like of bewilderment.
Right.
But he was able to back it up with his play, and Daniel hasn't been able to do that yet. So anything that can kind of make it work. But I'm with you. He does look a little tougher.
Love it. Love everything about it. Couldn't be happier about it.
I'm happy with my beard. Does it make me look tougher?
Well, I don't even remember you. I mean, you lost that bet a long time ago. I think that beard is you. I think you'd look odd without it.
But at the same time, there's a difference between the goatee and the beard.
True, but I don't think tough. No, I don't look at you as tough. I look at you as crazy, but not tough.
I gave up on the goatee because, let's face it, unless you're working at a Blockbuster or a 1980s baseball player, what are you doing with a goatee?
A lot of people have goatees.
And I stand by what I said.
Interesting.
As somebody that had it, Michael, come on. The one thing you could say about me is that I never dressed or looked for the times.
No.
I was always lost.
No, you were always
You look
lost.
at old pictures of me, you'll never have any idea what era I was in based on what I was wearing or how my hair was. I was a complete mess. That mullet picture of me, that wasn't from the 80s. That was the early 90s. Again, I was always off. I was always off a decade.
You've always been a bit off. I've said that to people. They say, what do you think you're doing? I say, he's a little off.
You say it about, but you say it in a negative.
No, you're a little off. I mean, you're not dead center normal.
No.
You're a little off.
No, it's just a matter of whether you think
and
that's
there's different ways that it
endearing.
manifests itself. Some I can't even speak of, but I believe that you're a little off.
But is it endearing, I guess, is what
it works for me.
Okay, good.
Because coming from somebody who's also way off. I'm not normal.
No, you're not. You're off, too.
No, I'm way off. No, I need, like I've said this before, I don't just need help by one person. I need to go to Vienna. I need to be studied 24 hours a day.
No, there's got to be a team of people working on different areas of your brain.
Right. Fear of death. Here's 3 guys. All right. Fear of sickness. Here's another 4 people. All right. Here's obsession with money. Let's work with 6 people with this. I mean, it goes on and on.
And the one thing they all have in common is they just still can't pinpoint the issue.
Right. What went wrong with this guy?
We can't figure it out.
Yeah. Why is
Bring
he so
another
messed
team
up?
in.
I thought yesterday's game, I know it's early. I know it was August 5th. I thought yesterday's game for the Mets was really big.
Oh, huge.
Sean Manaea turned in he's been great for 2 straight starts now, but stud performance. Because we talked about it a lot last week when you were off. Really unforgiving schedule for the Mets. And then they lose 2 out of 3 of the Angels. You can't do that. But they lose 2 out of 3 of the Angels. Then they have to get on a jet and go to St. Louis, probably exhausted, and they win. Now, let's see what they do against the Rockies, because by losing those 2 out of 3 from the Angels, Don, you got to pick up wins somewhere. You got to go at least 5-5, 6-4 on this road trip.
Yeah, because I looked at it. Yeah, you want to go 5-5, right? So you figure, all right, you win the Angels series, you win the Rocky series, allows you to lose the Seattle series,
right?
But then you lose the Angels series. Now I think you got to go out and you got to win the Seattle series. Now you did get the game against St. Louis,
Rockies,
or sweep the Rockies, which I think you should be able to do. Listen, the Rockies, the Angels are not good, but the Rockies are in almost White Sox territory.
Yeah,
I mean they're really bad. So you should be able to walk in there, win those 3, get a nice 4-game winning streak, go into Seattle's, see what you can do there, come back here 6-4, 5-5, and go at it, because you're still a game and a half back of San Diego. San Diego retooled. You know how good Arizona was based on what they did last year. The Braves have had injuries, which will keep them out of winning the division, but I still think they can win that wild card spot. So it's 4 teams for 5 spots. I think the Cardinals aren't for real. Pirates, Giants, Reds, those are teams that are on the fringe. I don't think they're good enough.
All right, one quick thing, Don.
Yeah.
The Yankees-Angels game has been postponed tonight due to rain.
Okay.
Scheduled as part of a traditional doubleheader tomorrow.
Traditional.
Beginning at 4:05.
Interesting.
So it'll be a straight doubleheader, 4:05. Second game will follow the first game. So it's not a day-night.
Now, not that it matters, because I don't know how many people are watching the Angels at this point, but is that like a favor to the Angels so their game doesn't start at like 10:05?
No.
Well, why are they not doing day-night?
No, because, I mean, if it was a weekend series, they'd be starting at 1:05, so.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't do a day-night.
Because I also think the weather tomorrow is really bad.
I love the doubleheader, the straight doubleheader. I don't like it tomorrow because we lose you. We'll get a nice open out of you.
Oh, shot out of a cannon open.
And we'll see if they let me fly solo tomorrow.
I think they should. They let me fly solo. Why not you?
Yeah, and Dave's been flying solo early this week. Dan's in Napa. How weird is that? Dan Gross is in Napa. So, and Rick is wherever he is.
Is Dan a big wine drinker?
Not that I'm aware of. Never.
Then why would you go to Napa?
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to convert. Maybe his wife is. I'm not sure. Natalie, maybe. Natasha is what his specific name is.
What do we go with? Natalie?
Well, he calls her Natalie. I think that's disrespectful. Her name's Natasha.
So what would she be on her phone, on his phone?
I don't know. Wife.
But not mi amor por vida.
No, listen. I don't. I'm very close to Dan, but I can't. I'm in no position to dissect their relationship like I do with you.
Mine, you've already agreed. It's just an arrangement.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Dave flies solo, so we'll see what they do. They'll probably give.
I believe that you've been telling me this for years, right?
Yeah.
I think you should swing it around and say either I do the show alone after Michael leaves at 3:22, or I quit.
Well, if they call my bluff, then I'm out of a job.
How could they do that? You're the heartbeat of the station.
You're the transmitter on the heartbeat.
Yeah, you take one of us away, the whole thing crumbles. But I think you're more important. They can get another transmitter. They can't get another heart.
I'll find out during the break what we're going to do tomorrow.
I believe you should do it alone. I'm advocating for a Don Solo.
I would be up for that. I haven't done a solo show, a solo vehicle, like a whole show, or just like from 3:30 on. I would love the challenge.
And you know what? They could also fall back on the fact maybe there's rain tomorrow and I could pop in and join you again.
Well, that's what they'll be when they kneel down and pray before bed tonight. What they'll be hoping for. But let's see if they give me the opportunity.
And what we've shown over the last couple of weeks, though, we don't have the deepest bench, Don.
Really?
No, we don't. Well, I mean, there's not a lot of guys to go to. Who would they bring in to work with you? Dan's not here.
Dan is out.
Rick is off.
Rick's off.
Dave does the morning.
Bart's off.
Right.
Ty.
I guess they could go. Ty goes to the runner.
Now, how do I do that? Because I would enjoy working with Ty. But by putting my foot down saying that I want to work by myself, Ty could take that the wrong way and think I'm making a stand against working with him.
You know what? You could use the line that you use on all the previous women you dated before Nancy. It's not you, it's me.
Well, I think Ty will be on with Han.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Ty and Han. You can't expect Ty to do like 7 hours.
Well, listen, he's young enough. He's eager. I think he would jump at the opportunity to do 7 straight hours of radio.
You're unbelievable.
But I believe that you should be doing it alone.
But I would like to do the show by myself. Michael gets to do it by himself. Dave gets to do it by himself.
Yep.
I refuse to say or even hear that I'm not at least in your league.
I think, you know what? I think Don alone, like Home Alone, would be better than Don with anybody.
No.
Because you'd have no governor on you. You'd have no restraint, no speed bumps. If you were losing your mind, it's not like I could jump in and stop you. I think it would be scintillating radio, and I believe that's the way we go.
And here's the thing, because they do the whole Don show and they promote it.
Right.
Like when Peter's got to leave early, you got a game, and I've got to do like an hour leading into Rangers or something, and they call it the Don show. If they don't let me do a full show alone, then I could look at the Don show vehicles that I do as they're mocking me.
You know what else you could do? But you're not like this. Again, a swing around vehicle. The next time they ask you to do a Don show, go no. I can't do a show alone. I'm not doing this alone.
You know what? That's a great,
Let's see how quick they capitulate.
You know what? I'm always telling you to swing it around. It's time, man.
It's time for you to swing it around. I am having such trouble with my Zoom right now. It's unbelievable.
Well, what do you need? You need a call?
No. I've got all the calls, but it shows up, right? And then it disappears and is me talking. I have video of me. I'll hold it up right now. Here's what we're saying. Oh, now it goes back. Just as I was turning it around.
Look at
it's
that.
Me talking. Why
does the Zoom have to change? It's always the same. And some new producer comes in. Why do they got to mess with it?
I don't know, because I tried to use the Zoom that I used on the Con show, but it's not working.
What, is Anthony Pusick on vacation using our Zoom?
He might.
Yeah, he might. He also might have sabotaged the whole show, so we never know.
I wouldn't put it by him. He's a vindictive
because
guy.
he didn't go anywhere. Yankees are home. He doesn't travel anywhere.
You know what? He's probably waiting online to buy a ticket rather than ask me.
Right. So where would he go? There's no Rangers.
It's got to be some sporting event, right?
I don't think there is.
He'd find it. Maybe he flew to Paris.
I'll tell you what, if he flew to Paris and watched for 30 seconds, that's more than I have.
You know, I got to tell you, I've been saying this a lot. I've watched 4 straight days because there's nothing on TV, Don, that all 4 of us, my family, would agree to watch.
Well, it's on.
This is something that we sit there. I mean, they like the gymnastics. They love the swimming. They love the running, the track and field. I love to get the pole vaulter done. That his manhood lost him a gold medal.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Listen, it's on constantly. That's all Nancy wants to watch.
It's on from after the Today Show until the middle of the night.
And Nancy, Marco was watching fencing. Nancy's found where like E is on DirecTV because they got stuff on E.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not watching. I'm in the room, but I'm not watching.
See, Marco should definitely get both kids to watch the fencing. That's the way to get scholarships.
Yeah.
If you can fence, you're going to get a scholarship to an Ivy League school. Just a thought. That's a little advice from the Caster, everybody. Get your kids to fence.
I can never understand what's going on.
If the tip hits you, you're in trouble. And you can say that about a lot of things in life. So that's the whole idea of fencing. Hey, I talk for a living.
Where we are today.
And whether I'm in the studio...
With ButcherBox, you never have to worry about what's for dinner. We deliver grass-fed beef, organic free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, wild-caught seafood, and so much more. Get high-quality meat sourced from trusted partners with free shipping always, so you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
Away makes luggage and bags that make packing, compressing, cinching, zipping, sliding, and going easier than ever. Away.
Hey, does this suit look okay to you?
Yeah.
It doesn't look too...
Baggy? No, it's not baggy. Let's just, Perfect. You look great. Right, Glenn?
It's good.
Suits that actually fit for you and your crew. Rent from theblacktux.com.
Mom? Yeah? I think we're out of toilet paper.
Oh, no.
Mom, we need more chips, Mom.
More chips, please.
More chips would be cute.
Chicken, a lot of chicken. Chicken on that plate. Chicken coming up, Chef.
Okay, hon, I'm gonna need a lot of chicken.
What's the accent?
Just trying something new.
When you feel like everyone needs a little bit of everything,
I'll handle it.
Shop BJ's Wholesale Club on Instacart. Same-day delivery in as fast as 1 hour. So whatever the needs may be, you got it covered. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first order.
We just signed the lease on our third shop. I guess we're a chain now, right? We worked so hard to get here. My assistant went to customink.com to get our new uniforms and merch with all the location names. Our custom gear helps him get our brand out into the community. He takes care of all of our custom ink orders. He was able to find great products, upload the new art, and have boxes sent directly to each of the shops. Custom Ink makes it so easy. Get started today at customink.com.
Switch to Square and join over 4 million businesses worldwide. Turn tables fast with Square Register at the counter or Square Terminal in your hand. Get a POS that connects to a KDS to handle orders ASAP. Easily take orders in person or online. And with Square Banking, get a loan quickly for everything from small repairs to the biggest dreams. Gain time and peace of mind with restaurant tools that bring everything together. Switch to Square today. Visit square.com to get started.
As well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years. When I have customers come in and ask for something for memory, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription. And I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good for me. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
When I hit 80, I needed help around the home. A friend of mine told me to call Freedom Care, and they'll pay my granddaughter to take care of me.
Funded by Medicaid, Freedom Care allows people to choose who provides their care, and the caregiver gets paid instantly after their shift.
Life is sweeter with her around.
Nana gave me so much joy as a child. Now it's my turn to return the love.
Call now to find out benefits and pay and how fast you can get started.
Hi. Deprioritized. But it's a work call.
Oh, a work call?
Deprioritized.
T-Mobile home internet relies on cell phone towers, so when their network gets busy,
Not the fridge. Come on.
you can be deprioritized.
It's too bad. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Forget T-Mobile cell phone internet. Get home internet that puts you first. Get Spectrum.
Chris Sheeran back here for the Michael K. Show. It's almost 3 months to the day that the Yankees picked up their 27th win of the 2024 season. Now, for those of you that need a little bit of a refresher, it was the end of play on Sunday, May 12th, a 10-6 win over the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, let's move ahead to July 10th. Nearly a month ago, that's when the Chicago White Sox picked up their 27th win of the season, 2 months after the Yankees won their 27th. The Pale Hose haven't won since. With their last loss, they tied the 1988 Baltimore Orioles for the second longest streak in Major League history at 21 straight. And they are 2 away now from tying the 1961 Phillies record of 23 in a row. The White Sox could lose more than the 1962 Mets' modern-day record of 120 defeats. And the Oakland A's tonight could continue setting the White Sox trending in that direction. But could Chicago get something done facing Ross Stripling of the A's, who is 2-10 on the season and pitching to an ERA near 8 over his last 6 starts? First pitch is scheduled for 9:40 in Oakland.
Let's go to Mark in Charleston. What's up, Mark?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's actually Clark.
Oh, I'm sorry, Clark.
No, that's been usually the next day because I work in the evenings. But, listening to Richard from Manhattan, I came up with a thesis for why he might be the way he is.
I'd love to hear it.
Richard is a dentist. And as a dentist, you have people in your chair with things in your mouth all the time. So I'm just positing that perhaps the reason why he doesn't like to reciprocate conversation is because he's accustomed to having conversations where people are not available to speak back. So, whether he chose that profession because he enjoys that situation or just after a career where he's just accustomed to that being the case, I'm coming to... Trust me, I'm coming to this from a place of empathy and understanding. I'm just trying to understand why that might be the case. So that's just my thesis on the way he is.
We're going to make great radio here, Mark. Well, thank you for the phone call. Now we'll go right to Richard in Manhattan.
There he is.
And see if Richard believes in the thesis that you presented. Richard,
or even heard it.
Did you hear what he said? Richard?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Did you hear what our previous caller said?
No, Michael, I'm sorry.
There you go.
He said that he believes that you have conversations the way you do because you're a dentist and the people in your chair that you're talking to can't speak back. So you don't want people to talk
we do
back
that.
to you.
Michael, I got a point now. I can go sports or I can embellish Don's story because I can follow up on that in the emergency room.
What a gem.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do you want to hear it, Don?
No.
Please.
Michael?
Yeah. Never want
As I live and breathe.
Mike, Don, you are 100% right about going to an emergency room when you have no identification. It happened to me. My brother was mentally handicapped. I took care of him. And, this is about 15 years ago. We got separated. And he ended up in the street. I guess he fell. So they brought him to Lenox Hill Emergency Room. And I looked all over, couldn't find him. I went to the police precinct over here on 51st Street, and they said, don't worry, as soon as we find out, we will call you. And what happened at the hospital was they saw that I always put 3 diapers on my brother just to be sure of everything, and I had 3 diapers. And they knew that the emergency room doctor and the nurse there said, we knew he had love and he was being taken care of. We knew he wasn't homeless or lived by himself because we saw the 3 diapers. So once we saw that, we called the police precinct up, and then the police precinct called me up because of that. And then after that, I got my brother a chain around his ankle with his phone, with my phone number in case he was found. But that's the story in an emergency room. When you don't have identification, if they know that there's somebody loving for you, they will get in touch with the police precinct, or they will make an effort.
Well, you sound like a terrific brother.
Michael, can I bring up the baseball point now quickly?
Yeah.
All right. With Judge, the way you get around Judge is if there's a man on base, they can walk him. First and third bases, whatever they want to do, walk him. But if there's nobody on base and they walk him, it's a double. Put him on second base. You have to be able to do that. Michael, like I told you last week about the baseball season, this can be historic. It's 70% done, and we do not have not one team with a 600 percentage. So not one team, and this will be, if this happens in any major sport, I think it would be the first time ever that the whole thing goes, the whole season goes without one major league team going 600. And one last thing, Michael, I'll hang up and I want to hear your answer. All right, I'm going to give you 6, and Don, you'll go. I'm going to hang up. 6 Yankees. No last names, you know who I mean. I want you to rate them 1 to 6 Hall of Fame worthy. All right, I'm going to give you the 6, only the first names, and I'll go chronologically. George, Roger, Thurman, Donnie, Roger, Andy.
Wait, who's the second Roger?
What you guys have to say?
Roger.
Dear God in heaven.
What happened? I felt a pang of sympathy with what he had to obviously go through with his brother.
Right.
But I asked him the thing at the beginning. It's like he didn't hear it, Don. Yeah, and it just went on.
Nailed it. That caller nailed it. And if somebody was calling in to do an impression of Richard to follow up the call previous, they would have done exactly that.
It's like he comes on with a script and he can't improv.
I'm assuming it's Maris and Clemens. I'm assuming.
Right.
Because neither are in the Hall of Fame, both named Roger.
Sorry, so who would be...
George...
If we're taking PEDs out of it, Roger Clemens is one of the greatest pitchers of all time.
Right, so he would probably... In George...
Right.
Who's George?
Steinbrenner.
Steinbrenner?
Yeah. No, in terms of, contributions to the game, George would have to be 2. I would say Don is 3. I'd say Andy is 4.
Over Thurman?
No, Thurman is 4.
Yeah.
Then Andy, and then Roger Maris.
The thing with Roger Maris, Michael, and I know he broke at the time the record for home runs in a season. I don't know if he's got Hall of Fame number.
He did win 2 MVPs in a row.
He did win 2 MVPs in a row. All right, and Tim Lincecum won. How many? 2 Cy Youngs?
Yep.
Sometimes you get guys that in a very, condensed period of time left an impact. But is Roger Maris? Are people screaming because he had 61 home runs and won 2 MVPs isn't in the Hall of Fame, or his collective numbers? Do you think his collective numbers are Hall of Fame worthy?
Well, that's why I have him 6th on that list.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that there are people that are just it's outrageous that Roger Maris is not a. I think it's outrageous, Thurman. I think it's outrageous. Now the George thing is kind of interesting. He's an owner, so let's exclude him. But of the players, I think there should be more outrage over Andy Pettitte than Roger Maris.
Well, Andy Pettitte, there's a reason he's not being considered because of the PED use.
But even I don't know. Would you think he would have gotten in?
It would have been close. He's definitely not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but what does he have? 19 postseason wins. And that will lead me into the thing I want to talk about next, and that's Eli Manning. Whether he's Hall of Fame worthy or not, and we'll talk about that because you could vote on him, and they're going to vote on him this year. It's the first time he's eligible.
Right.
And I hit on it a little bit yesterday when I did the show, and one guy said rings shouldn't matter that much, but they do, because Don Mattingly has the same numbers as Kirby Puckett. He doesn't have rings. Kirby Puckett has 2. So we'll talk about that when we get back right here on Yes and ESPN New York.
Big season. More reasons to say yes. Yes to pick and play jackpots up to $25,000. Yes to in-game action and live chats with Pick and Play Live. Check it out now on the Yes app.
It's Aaron Judge. Yeah. Sometimes you get the feeling you're watching a Hall of Famer right in the middle of his prime.
The captain is rolling.
They're going to need a longer tape measure.
A monster blast. See ya. Wow.
The finest premium arena club in the world comes alive in Brooklyn. Welcome to Crown Club, the Brooklyn Nets' most exclusive club in Barclays Center. Featuring a menu curated by a major food group with Carbone classics and a world-class wine list. To learn more about premium memberships at Barclays Center, visit brooklynnets.com/crown-club.
But did you know Prevagen can help keep your memory sharp? The secret is the powerful ingredient jellyfish, and found only in Prevagen. In a clinical study, Prevagen was shown to improve memory in subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired. Stay sharp and improve your memory with Prevagen. Prevagen, in stores everywhere without a prescription.
At Toyota's National Sales Event, we've got a long lineup of vehicles for summer fun, like Camry, RAV4, Highlander, BZ4X, Tundra, Corolla Hybrid, Tacoma, Sienna, Corolla Hatchback, Sequoia, Prius Prime, RAV4 Hybrid, Land Cruiser, GR Supra, Toyota Crown, Ford.
Right now, get Tundra with 1.99% APR for 48 months, plus $1,000 TFS subvention APR cash, or lease a new 2024 Tundra for just $499 a month.
Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Listen, I spotted it from the start. Breaking didn't even have a name yet. All that potential, just waiting to burst free. I think about every battle. Kids from the South Bronx who didn't just knock on the door, they kicked it down. And today, what I saw in us is the same thing I see in you. It's your time. It's all about spotting it early. And if you do, no victory is out of reach.
Tonight on NBC. But let me tell you about who I think is going to be the breakout star from the Olympics. There's a runner who's running in the 200 meter today, Gabby Thomas. She's an extraordinary athlete. She went to Harvard. She is so jaw-droppingly beautiful. She should be, I mean, she could be a movie star. She's incredible. Her story's incredible. And watch tonight when she runs in the 200 meters. She's one of the special athletes. And again, I'm not minimizing her athletic prowess, but on top of the fact that she also happens to be just one of the most beautiful women that you'll ever see. She's going to be the breakout star of the Olympics. Do you even know what I'm talking about, Don?
I do, yes.
She's a stunning athlete, person, looks-wise, everything. I mean, talk about somebody who checks every single box. She's amazing. Just absolutely amazing.
The stories are terrific. Like my wife's been telling me about them. I mean, the stories. I'm not anti-Olympics. I guess the problem is I'm not into these sports.
Right.
So it's really hard for me.
That's why NBC does a good job. They get you interested by the stories.
And I think that's why there's a lot of non-sports fans that get captivated, because they do a tremendous job of giving their story. And all these athletes have amazing stories of accomplishing, getting there. But I tell you, the one thing I have noticed a lot of, and I'm a big fan, enough with Snoop Dogg. I mean, come on, man.
Did you hear what I said yesterday? We found out.
I didn't.
Do you know how much he makes a day from doing this?
How much?
$500,000 a day, not including his expenses for being there.
Good for him, and I think he does transcend. There's a lot of people that he clicks a lot of boxes. He checks them all. I get it. It's just amazing.
But he's going to make $6 million to do 2 weeks of the Olympics.
Pretty incredible stuff.
And listen, I like Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I do too.
But who's he bringing to the tent? That's what I'd like to know. That you're paying him and Martha Stewart, all them. Who? Now, Colin Jost is actually funny when he was doing the surfing and all that, but who's Snoop bringing into the audience tent that wouldn't be in there anyway?
And obviously, if you haven't figured out, my exaggeration of not watching any of the Olympics has been exposed by how much I know about it. So I guess some of it has leaked in while it's been on in the living room, even though I haven't been paying much attention to it. Explain to me, you get the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
You bid for it, but the surfing has to be in Tahiti?
It's weird. I guess there's no place to surf in Paris.
All right. Well, then find some place to have the Summer Olympics that has surfing.
I don't think you're going to not have the Summer Olympics in Paris because there's no place to surf.
No, but I get it. But you got to find something that's like literally 8,000 miles away. There's no place in Europe you can do this.
It's a great question. This is the first I've heard about it.
But that's where Colin Jost is. He's in Tahiti. Good for him. That's where the surfing is. Granted, it's not that big that they've got to like lose the bid for it. But I guess listen, the hockey used him. The NFL has used him. Obviously, they have done the work.
Right. He must appeal to a certain demographic.
A demographic that they feel that they would struggle in otherwise. I don't even think it's kids, Michael. Snoop Dogg's been around for 30 years.
No, he's an older guy.
Yeah, so I don't think you're getting the average like 16-year-old to watch because of Snoop Dogg. But
well, a perfect example. You know, we're watching it yesterday. Snoop comes on with the equestrian stuff, and Callie, pretends to be pretty hip. So what does Snoop Dogg do? So that's an 11-year-old.
Right.
So I'm sure that there's a demo that he doesn't reach. But maybe maybe in your 20s you're attracted to Snoop. I don't know.
I don't know either.
All right. Tonight's Yankees starting lineup on ESPN New York, brought to you by Bigelow Tea. There is none.
None.
There's none because the Yankee game has been postponed tonight because of incoming inclement weather. I guess that's the residue of Hurricane Debbie, and it's supposed to be bad weather all week. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get in these games. It's been scheduled tomorrow as a straight doubleheader at the stadium starting at 4. So no Yankee starting lineup, brought to you by Bigelow Tea. Bigelow Tea is a proud supporter of the Michael Kay Show and the official hot tea of the New York Yankees.
I'm in negotiations now about tomorrow's show.
Okay.
Where we've landed is that they're going to try a Hail Mary for Grassa.
To have him do the show from Napa?
No. He is scheduled to return tomorrow for work Thursday. But they're going to see maybe he's in early enough that he would agree to do the show.
Why? Why do they have to do that?
But if Dan can't do it, then it will be me solo.
But why do they have to do it? Why do they throw a Hail Mary? You're leading in the fourth quarter.
That's where we stand right now.
I love Dan Grassa, generational talent. You should be doing the show alone. And if we did a poll, you know what? Can we put a poll up on X? Should Don do tomorrow's show alone?
That might go sideways.
No, it won't. Should Don? Yes or no? Should it be Don solo? Mike solo yesterday. Dave solo today.
Yeah.
You know what? The fact that they don't trust you, Don, they have no faith in your ability.
It's their loss.
It is their loss.
I have faith in my ability.
I do too, and I think you should be doing the show alone.
Now, one of our former colleagues, a guy that we affectionally called Fat Hands, a friend of ours, Al Gattulo, text that Tahiti is the French own the Polynesia. So that's why it falls in their purview, I guess, because I guess it's the French own Tahiti. Does that sound right?
No, it doesn't. But
I don't know. It's kind of
always believe Al.
It's just all about where you plant your flag.
Yeah.
So I guess that they, sometime like 150 years ago, they probably did something untoward that they actually possess it, and now it's part of the Olympics. So that I guess that's why they're able to get away with it.
Before we purchased it, I mean, they own Louisiana. Should we have some events there?
Well, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Why is Montreal excluded from this?
Now,
the province
very
of
good
Quebec.
point. Yeah. I'm also told some programming notes, Donald.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll be carrying the beginning of TMKS tomorrow from 3 to 3:30, leading to the pregame show.
Okay.
But could potentially return based on weather tomorrow. Now, let me ask you another question, because I think this is a legitimate question. Let's say that the Hail Mary is completed. Doug Flutie completes the Hail Mary to Gerald Phelan.
Right.
And then...
That's a good pull.
Thank you. And the games are rained out. I'm going to come in and Bigfoot you and Dan. Here's the deal, powers that be. If you make Dan work with Don, and then the games are rained out tomorrow, I'm not coming back.
Well, I love what you're talking about because, and not under the current regime, but you remember there were times where that would happen.
Yeah.
And the person that came in to fill in for you would have to stay on the whole show because they felt it was too awkward to ask that person to leave.
Yeah, I'm not going to have that.
Well, how about this? Because Dan's not going to come in. I'm sure he would do it from home. If the Hail Mary was completed, it's not going to be get off a plane, get in a car, and drive into the city. Just say, Dan, we're good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Michael's back.
No, I don't want to do that to Dan. So if they complete the Hail Mary, that means they're running that offense the entire game.
I don't think that, I really don't believe that an entire vacation day for Dan is going to be for travel. So I don't think he's going to be leaving like first thing in the morning Wednesday for his morning show on Thursday. He's probably got an afternoon flight.
The lack of faith in you is alarming. You're the first voice on the station.
It's alarming, but there's some reason towards it.
They must have done, you know what, but this is the same company that when you first started the show with me, they wanted to get rid of you because they didn't like you. Then they did some focus groups, and then all of a sudden they loved you. So maybe there's a focus group that they've pulled out of whatever that says, Don can't do this alone, although they've never heard him do it alone.
Yeah, I guess their complaint with me when I'm by myself is that I sound too announcery.
Oh, please. And that's why they have Peter drive when it's you and Peter.
That's right.
Announcering my backside.
Well, thank you, but I don't believe it, but I follow orders. But I would like, if there is a God, to do it by myself tomorrow.
And I think there is a God. That's why
I believe. We just end up here. So, yeah, I think, you know what? I think with all confidence, I'm going to do the show by myself tomorrow.
I love it. I love it. But, because there is a God, then there'll be another rain delay, and I'll be on with you, and it will ruin your dream.
Then that's fine, because that's the way it's supposed to be.
It's the way God intended.
I'm not going to be like, oh, my God, Michael's here. Start screaming to the heavens that Michael was available. Now, this is the way it is. Again, this is no offense to Peter, although he takes it with offense, that this is comfortable.
Oh, I don't mind if it's offense to Peter. I'm good.
No, I don't. But that's not what my intent is.
Oh, that's always my intent.
Okay.
So Eli Manning is eligible to be voted on for the Football Hall of Fame. Now, we had him in the booth on Sunday. He's a delightful guy. He really is. And I asked him about it. He said, I don't know. I'd love to go in, but if not, I had a career that I'm proud of. And he said, it's been a while since I played, and if they don't want me, I mean, it's not like I can throw any more touchdowns.
Right.
And I said this yesterday. I want to get your read on it. And again, it's weird because he did. If he didn't win the Super Bowls, he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. But you can't take those Super Bowls away, and they are seminal Super Bowls. One of them beating what was considered the greatest team in NFL history.
Right.
In a staggering upset. He beat Tom Brady twice. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, who won 6 other Super Bowls, he beat those guys twice. You can't discount that. Because if you want to say, well, Super Bowls don't count. Well, if Super Bowls don't count, Terry Bradshaw's not a Hall of Famer. Am I right?
That's right.
Because Terry Bradshaw has very pedestrian stats, and he won 4 Super Bowls. So, of course, he's in the Hall of Fame. Eli Manning deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's no question to me. It's always a fun debate. But the two things that irritate me more than anything when we talk about Eli is how overrated or how pedestrian he was in the regular season, and the statement that you made, well, if you take those 2 Super Bowls away. Well, first of all, why are we taking the 2 Super Bowls away? We're not taking Tom Brady's 7 away. I mean, like why are we taking Super Bowls away? They happened. They actually happened. So they shouldn't be taken away.
But my point of that argument is, if he had the same career and never went to a Super Bowl, I don't think he's considered for a Hall of Fame.
But here's something else. Well, he's a compiler, which I can't argue. I mean, a lot of the stats that he has in the regular season are because he played forever.
And never missed a game.
Never missed a game, 210 consecutive games. But I'm sorry, Michael, compilers are allowed in the Hall of Fame.
Don Sutton's in the Hall of Fame.
It's a pejorative term in the sense of comparing him to other great players. Oh, well, he's just a compiler. But the last I checked, compilers do get into the Hall of Fame. So, yes, he was a compiler, but that shouldn't take away from the fact that he's a Hall of Famer. But what it does do, because he compiled a lot of numbers, because of how long he played, that's why he's 10th all-time in yardage. He's 10th all-time in completions. He's 10th all-time in touchdown passes. He's 9th all-time in attempts. So he's a top 10 quarterback theoretically in the regular season in his career, but I will concede that came from the fact that he played for
And a couple of people yesterday kept throwing up, I think he led the NFL in interceptions 4 times.
It was 3 times, and I'm sure Brett Favre probably did it 6 times.
Right.
All right, so, yeah, there are negatives to his game. He's probably Matt Ryan if he never wins.
Right, that's good.
I mean,
good
if you take a look at the comparables, but Matt Ryan went to the 1 Super Bowl. It wasn't his fault. They blew the huge lead. But 2-time Super Bowl MVP, everybody that's got multiple MVPs in the Super Bowl is in the Hall of Fame. He's got more, playoff wins than Steve Young, more road playoff wins than Joe Montana. Greeny was talking about this the other day. Now, a lot of that's circumstance because you can only win the road games that you're in, and Joe Montana wasn't in a lot of road games in the postseason in his career. So if you want to measure him up to the truly greatest of all time, he might come up a little short. But as far as Hall of Fame numbers are concerned, when you look at the 2 Super Bowl MVPs, you look at 210 consecutive games played, top 10 in a lot of major categories, I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Now, if you want to go debate first ballot, whatever, I think that's more of a baseball thing than a football thing because of the sheer number of people that they induct in 1 year. I think the minimum is 4. So you're not going to have things like you do in baseball where nobody gets inducted or 1 person gets inducted. I think the minimum is 4. So I think he still might find a way to get in on the first ballot just because of the timing of it. But he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and deservedly so.
Yeah, and again, as you said, you can't take away those Super Bowls. That's part of the story. It's the story of his life. Is it a Hall of Fame career? And his career is accentuated and punctuated by 2 stunning Super Bowls. Now, you can say the David Tyree catch was lucky. The Manningham pass wasn't lucky. It might have been one of the greatest big passes of all time.
Yeah. And the Tyree catch might have been lucky, Michael, but what about him not being very athletic, being able to not get sacked, to be able to throw the football? So he was at least a part of that, if you want to call it a lucky play. At least he was a part of that. And then the whole drive itself. Hey, Michael, you can make the case, and you might lose the argument, of who would you want in a big spot, his brother or Eli? Just the fact that he was able to do something that doesn't get done very much, needing a touchdown in a Super Bowl and getting it.
I'd want Peyton in the regular season, Eli in the big game.
And again, that's not taking anything away from Peyton, but there's certain things that the stats don't reflect.
And one of Peyton's 2 Super Bowls, he was a passenger. Right? With the Broncos, he was a passenger.
Absolutely. But listen, Peyton was a better quarterback. I mean, the numbers tell you that. But there's a little something in Eli. And also, it's not Eli's fault that he was on some really bad teams and a lot of dysfunction towards the end of his career. I think a lot of people, especially if you're a certain age, look at Eli towards the end of his career, and he wasn't very good, and the team wasn't very good, and they were trying to prop things up to try to get him another playoff appearance, get him another chance at a Super Bowl, which I think made him look bad at the end of the day. And then you look at the weapons. He had some nice weapons. I mean, Jeremy Shockey was a nice weapon, Plexico Burress, and Steve Smith, and they had some nice players. But I mean, again, it wasn't like he was playing with a ton of Hall of Fame players on the offensive side of the ball, or even any of the. How many of those players, Michael, from those 2 Super Bowls are Hall of Fame caliber? Obviously, Strahan from the first one because he's in the Hall of Fame. And listen, Justin Tuck had a terrific career. Osi Umenyiora, a lot of really good players, but I mean, how many of them were really absolute stud players?
And Tiki could be in the Hall of Fame, but he wasn't on those Super Bowl teams.
No, he wasn't on those Super Bowl teams. They're early in the career, so I'm not going to say that they were bereft of talent around them, but it wasn't like the Giants had an all-star cast. Thus, the reason why they had to take the path they took to win those 2 Super Bowls. So, 2 Super Bowls, Michael, in which they had to play 3 rounds before they got to the Super Bowl in each of them, only had 1 home game, the Falcon game. The first Super Bowl, all 3 games on the road in Tampa, Dallas, and Green Bay. And then the second one, they had the home game against Atlanta, which they theoretically shut them out because the 2 points were from a safety. And then having to go to Green Bay and San Francisco. And that San Francisco game, I don't know how much you remember of it, Michael.
He got destroyed.
That, to me, is the game that encapsulates everything about Eli Manning. Like his toughness, his ability, the way, and again, it even throws in the flukiness too. The 2 turnovers on special teams that got them the championship, won them the NFC championship game in overtime. But just how he was beaten pillar to post in that game, Michael. The pictures of just dirt and grass wedged in his face mask and his helmet. And found a way to win in Candlestick, an impossible place to go out there and win. If you realize the Green Bay Packers have only lost 5 games in their history at Lambeau Field in the postseason, and Eli's won 2 of them against 2 future Hall of Famers in Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, some of the analytics or the math tell you that he's overrated or isn't a Hall of Famer, but watching every game of his career, he's a Hall of Famer.
How about these stats, right? You have to dig deeper into the numbers. He had 27 fourth-quarter comebacks, 37 game-winning drives in the regular season. He also had 4 fourth-quarter comebacks and 5 game-winning drives in the postseason. That's a Hall of Famer who does stuff like that.
And again, look at the teams. I also don't like the argument he beat Tom Brady or he beat Brett Favre. I get he beat the defenses of those teams, but still going head to head with another great quarterback that at least on paper was better than you. Think of the places to win in Green Bay, to win in Dallas, to win in San Francisco. To beat some of those amazing that was a 1 seed in Dallas, Michael. That was a 13-3 football team in Dallas in 2007 with Tony Romo. See, Tony Romo to me is almost the exact opposite of Eli. Take a look at the stats. He was a better quarterback in the regular season than Eli, maybe even much better. But in the postseason, in big games, didn't have the moments that Eli had. And you can look at those 2 and say, well, it was only those 2. Lost to Philadelphia in 2008. You lost to Philadelphia in 2006, got shut out by the Carolina in 2005. But that was a quarterback, Michael, that Rex Ryan was afraid was going to get killed in Baltimore in his rookie season in 2004 with a 0.0 quarterback rating.
Like Butarski.
And then the next year, the Giants go 11-5. So he went from trying to figure it out and being lost to getting the Giants in the playoffs for 3 consecutive seasons, and then the 3rd season, winning the Super Bowl, and then a 4th consecutive playoff in 2008. And I still think, Michael, there's a very good chance that if Plexico Burress doesn't, drop the gun in his in his sweatpants at the club, that maybe the Giants win back-to-back Super Bowls. Maybe.
Some Jet news. So their opening opponent is the San Francisco 49ers, as you know. Well, the Giants, the 49ers announced that Christian McCaffrey has a calf strain, unlikely to participate in the preseason, according to Coach Shanahan. Might not play in that first. Calf strains, Don, they're like quads. They take forever.
I know.
And with a 17-game season, why would you rush a guy back? So it could be a positive for the Jets.
And when you're thinking about winning a championship and it's week 1 against a non-conference opponent, I would probably lean on him not playing in that game.
1-800-919-3776. Let's go to Brian in the car. Brian.
Well, you took the wind out of my sails. I was going to talk about the teams that Eli Manning was on as I was sitting here listening. But, look at the last 5 years of Eli Manning's career. Those teams were terrible.
Yeah.
The guy was running for his life constantly. Well, not running because he can't run, but
Well, he runs enough.
Dodging for his life. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But he was just constantly running for his life from those teams.
Yeah.
And still he managed to do well. I mean, if you look at his career with the Giants, what team was super and overpowering like the '86 Giants or something like that?
Honestly, the only team that he was on that I would really say was a absolutely great team. Now, it's hard to say a team that wins a Super Bowl is not great. But, I mean, from start to finish was that 08 team. They were 12-4. They were a 1 seed. They had a bye. They were following the Super Bowl championship. That was it. I think that was a great team, Michael. And then that got derailed, losing to Philadelphia, the whole Plexico Burress thing. I think that was maybe a truly great team top to bottom. But this is also a guy, Michael, in 2015 threw 35 touchdown passes, only 14 interceptions for 4,400 yards on a 6-10 team. Like, so how come that doesn't get brought up as, hey, listen, he was able to put together good stats on a bad team? Yeah, the last 3 years, the Giants were 3-12, 5-11, and then he got benched in 2019 unceremoniously. But still, as bad as those teams were, he still threw for over 4,000 yards in 2018. Still threw two more touchdowns than interceptions, a 2-to-1 ratio in that 2018 season. So you can play with the numbers all you want, but he was the best part of most of those teams, and they were able to get as far as they did because of him.
Let's take a brief time out. So much more to do. More of your phone calls as well. It's Michael and Don till 6:30 right here on Yes and ESPN New York.
At Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, being the Northeast's best cancer center means being the best for you. Pairing the most advanced treatments with the most compassionate treatment. It takes looking at every cancer from every angle. And a care team that looks out for you and everyone you care for. It takes MSK.
Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Get $5,750 total value on this Silverado LT when you trade in an eligible vehicle. That's 10% below MSRP. See your local Chevy dealer.
Popeyes has the on all 6 flavors. Whether you prefer our spicy bone-in wings or our classic tender white meat boneless wings, we've got the best of both.
Hey, Yankee fans, show us how you support the Bronx Bombers, and we might spotlight you in a game. Use the hashtag Toyota Pinstripe Pride and post pictures to social media that reflect your love for the Yankees. Pinstripe Pride is brought to you by Toyota, the official hybrid vehicles of the Yankees.
My dad, he's a double amputee, and he's one of my favorite people in the world. To me, a hero is someone who fights for our country and freedom. My dad is a hero. Homes for Our Troops built this house, and it's basically made for him. My dad can get through the wide doorways. When he is making our lunch, he can reach anything we need. He'll help me build tiny projects. Life is good here. Without Homes for Our Troops, we'd be living in a home that didn't have all these features that helped him.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives.
If they get a new house like this one, it'll help them do normal life. My dad's not just a hero, he's my hero.
Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here. Make a statement while barely making a sound. And command the road as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters.
Hello, I'm Dennis Quaid. For years, Tunnel to Towers has demonstrated a commitment to first responders and military families. They've paid off mortgages and built specially adapted smart homes. Now the foundation is expanding its mission to eradicate veteran homelessness. Please give our veterans a chance to reclaim their dignity by donating at T2T.org.
It's a big match, and only the best will win.
Just blaze, Godzilla bankroll, stole some chili on, yo, I ain't got it all. That means I'm barely home.
At Domino's, we know there's a lot of pressure to tip these days.
Great set, bro. Now take a look at the screen real quick.
Which is why we want to say,
thanks for the tip.
By tipping you back. Tip your driver $3 or more online and we'll tip you $3 to use on next week's order.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Get your ideal combination of power and capability. And experience hands-free highway driving technology with Ford Blue Cruise, available on select vehicles. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event, so make it yours. Make it now. Returning lessees can now lease a Ford F-150 for just $299 a month for 24 months, only at your local Ford stores.
One thing to Little Leaguers would be, you know, to have that dream of playing in the big leagues. I was there, especially, you know, when you're 11, 12, 13, your dream is to play in the major leagues. And back then, you know, I wish, you know, somebody would tell me that just never give up. Don't let anybody ever tell you you can't do it, essentially, is what I wish that, like a major league player would have told me.
Game tonight has been postponed because of the impending rain. It's going to be made up tomorrow as a straight doubleheader starting at 4 o'clock. So Jack Curry has this great podcast on the Yes Network site, and he had on Eli Manning. So Eli Manning said that he has 2 guests that he would like to have on for week 1, and they haven't been able to get them yet. And these 2 guests are 2 guests that I've had on center stage, and they're 2 of my favorite guests. So who do you think they are, Don?
Oh, you've had him on center stage.
Right.
So is it, just trying to think who you had football-wise.
Don't think like that.
Don't think like
that. No. Do not think like that.
So I'm trying to think of some of the biggest guests that you've had on center stage. So now I'm going back to the book. And
they are both in the book.
And you haven't been able to get them.
He has not been able to get them yet.
All right, this is kind of just off the beaten path just because of where he currently lives and the difficulty with travel. Quentin Tarantino.
No. Think funny.
Funny?
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of funny people. I don't know.
Jets and the 49ers. Who's a big Jet fan? Calls the GM.
Oh, Larry David?
Yeah.
They can't get Larry David?
So far they haven't, and the other one is Adam Sandler.
Along the same vein.
Well, Adam Sandler's tough to get because I think his people put up roadblocks. Like it never gets to him.
Right.
But if you get to him, he's more than welcome. He loves to come on. But you got to get to him. Somehow you got to get through the firewall. It's hard. Let's go to E in Queens. E.
What's going on, boys?
How you
Can
doing?
I join?
Please.
It's good. Doing well. It's been a while. A couple of things. The lack of self-awareness from Richard from Manhattan was astonishing.
It wasn't really, though, E.
I guess not.
That call was perfect after the call previous.
It was. I haven't laughed in my car by myself in a while, so I actually really appreciated that. The second point, Michael, you still owe me some royalties for the Yankee Boy merch. Whenever you're ready, send it my way. And then the third point, Don, you got on me a few months back when I told you to trust the process because it was a Phillies thing and they haven't done anything. But if you listen to the brilliant mind of Jeff Passan when he was on with Michael yesterday, he likened what they're doing in Queens to what they've been able to accomplish with the Dodgers. And I just think it was a fantastic session, and I just think that it's something that shouldn't be passed over and should actually be considered very highly because of the fact that it's coming from Jeff. And Don, you deserve more respect, and you should do that show tomorrow by yourself.
Well, thank you, and I think I
You
will.
deserve more respect.
I appreciate that. I'm confident that I will be able to. Mets are interesting. What exactly did Jeff Passan say,
well,
Michael?
Jeff said that even if they don't make the playoffs, and I don't think that, I said yesterday, Don, I don't think they're making the playoffs because I think the three teams in front of them are better.
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked if they make it, but I'd say the Braves are better, the Padres are better, and the Diamondbacks are better. But they can get in. Well, but here's what Jeff said. Do you have the cut, guys? Here's what he said about the Mets.
I think that is correct. But I also, Michael, look at the Mets and where they are right now. I didn't think they were going to be here. I didn't think they were going to actually be in the mix at this point. So I have probably been underestimating this team all season long. And there's such a tiny gap between all of these teams to suggest that 45, 50 games down the road when this season is over that they're going to be out of it. I'm not there yet. I am not ready to call the Mets dead because the Mets have been zombies all year long.
Now, he went on to say, Don, that what Stearns is doing is brilliant, and they are going to be the Dodgers, where they'll go after big names and spend big money, but they will supplement the team with all the people that they're producing in the minors. And he also said something at the end of the interview, Don. He said it's going to be Hagler-Hearns as a heavyweight fight with the Mets and the Yankees going for Soto.
And I would expect nothing less. But wouldn't that scare you as a Yankee fan? That if the Mets are going to be all in, I do think that there's a number that they can get to that the Yankees won't.
I don't know. I mean, you would think, right?
Yeah, but again, unless the Yankees change their way of thinking, and I thought they had a really nice deadline. I thought Jazz was a great acquisition. I'm surprised what Leiter Jr.'s doing, but listen, he's getting everybody out. What is he, walked one batter? I don't think he's allowed a hit in his 3 or 4 outings. I think they had a good deadline. But I guess it's really just going to come down to what condition are they in at the end of the season? And how desperate will they be if there is another disappointing postseason where you're out early? And will they kind of break from what they've been known to do of having some sort of a budget? Because maybe they'll be willing to go farther than I think that they might be willing to go now if they have a disappointing out. But I don't know what the caller was alluding to about me giving him a hard time about the process. I've been on board with the process, Michael.
No, I think he started out saying that you thought they were going to be out of it.
Well, no, I did.
Right.
I mean, so did everybody. I mean, logic dictated when they were playing as poorly as they were that they should listen. I said, show me something, and they've showed me something. And I'm going to give that same little bit of latitude to Pete Alonso. He's got time to show me something. He's had, for at least for him, a very average season. We'll see if he even gets to 30 home runs, see if he even gets to 90 RBIs. But if he has a good couple of months here, he could change the narrative on his season as well. But I still am very bullish on their future. And I think that if they do end up missing, I'll be disappointed because they're only a game and a half out. And before the deadline, they're actually in the playoffs. But I'm not really going to be derailed by feeling good about their future if they do end up missing out here, because I think what they're going up against are 3 really good teams. You got the Braves, who are only in the situation they're in because of injury. The Diamondbacks are the defending National League champions, and the Padres are really good, and they loaded up at the deadline.
Yep.
So, and this schedule is, Michael, explain to me why you would have 2 West Coast trips in this close proximity this late in the season.
It's awful. Then you throw in the makeup game in St. Louis. It's brutal.
There's nothing you can do about that. And I guess it's not that crazy to go from St. Louis to Colorado, then to Seattle. But the fact that, and listen,
those Anaheim first.
Those were 3 great games, and they could have very easily swept. That was I thought after the Martinez Grand Slam, Michael, they had that game locked up, and to give it up right away after that. But the Angels are spunky, as you might find out over the next couple of days if these games get played. But now you got to take care of business against Colorado. There's no excuses. You got to sweep this series and move forward. But if they came up short, Michael, put up a great effort, that doesn't make me think that their future isn't bright.
Let's go to Brian in Millburn. Brian.
Hi, Fu. Hi, Don. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I want to say about Eli. I'm a San Francisco fan. Let me tell you something. They kept hitting them, and they kept hitting them, and they kept hitting them, and he kept getting up. Let me tell you something. He is every bit of worth first ballot Hall of Fame in my eyes. And I'm not even a fan of the Giants, but he's a great quarterback when it comes down to the money. The only quarterback I ever seen take two teams on the road twice and won a Super Bowl. That's worth his weight in gold. Nobody should dispute nothing else past that.
And, Brian, not only did he win on the road, I mean, you can make the argument, we thank you for the phone call, that they were better. Those teams were better. He beat better teams.
Well, I would think the only two games they may have been favored, and I'm not even sure about the Buccaneer game in the 07 run. The only game they might have been favored in is, I think, the Atlanta game, wild card weekend in 2011. Otherwise, your dog going up against great teams in really difficult places to play, although Eli always had a great record in Dallas, especially the new stadium. But going back to, Texas Stadium, 07, that was a 13-3 Cowboy team. That was an amazing win. Winning in San Francisco, winning in Lambeau twice. I mean, they won a game in Lambeau in overtime, Michael. What are the odds of that?
And Tom Coughlin's face almost froze him.
And they missed the field goal. I mean, they had opportunity. It's Andrew Gunling, who used to be the producer here, was a Philly fan, and he was always a big advocate that Eli was overrated and all that because he just didn't see greatness in him. But I just think can we at least admit he's a little different than your average Hall of Fame quarterback, and that's okay. He's not Tom Brady. When you look at his equals, the guys that he played with, his contemporaries, from a stat-wise, he's probably off compared to a lot of those great players. He's not Drew Brees. He's not Tom Brady. But the wins matter, don't they? I mean, coming up big in the big spot matters, doesn't it? And I don't know if there's a comp. Is there an Eli Manning comp of a guy that we have this kind of argument that maybe Curt Schilling? Is he kind of Curt Schilling? Because Curt Schilling, I think, is going to go to the Hall of Fame based on his postseason numbers. He was a great regular season pitcher.
No, he was great in the regular season. I mean, he's not in for other reasons, but
no, well, but
in terms of football, his
great.
Plunkett.
Yeah, but Plunkett's not. He's better than Plunkett.
But Plunkett, has 2 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
So, and how great would it be to have Eli and Coughlin going together? Because to me, Coughlin's a Hall of Fame coach.
I don't even know how that gets debated. I mean, look, he went to the championship game with Jacksonville twice. What he did with the Giants, he was a wide receivers coach on their Super Bowl championship in Super Bowl 25. I mean, you don't think Tom Coughlin has the credentials? I'd love to argue with somebody on that.
I just hate the whole Football Hall of Fame because it's done like skull and bones. It just is. It's done in the dark. It's not transparent. We have no idea who's standing in the way. There's this group. It's like a cult that they get chosen and they stay there forever to choose. And I don't get it. I don't. And it's done in secrecy.
Well, and in the way, and correct me if I'm wrong. The format, I think it's 40 people. So each team is represented by a voter. And then I think there's 8 national guys. And they all have a vote. And then there's somebody that advocates for a certain player. Like Vinny DiTrani from The Record would advocated for Lawrence Taylor because a lot of people wanted to keep him out because of his off-the-field stuff. So he'd have to convince the other 39 to vote for him. It's like, I understood it back then, Michael, because there were certain players. If you covered the San Diego Chargers, you probably didn't watch a lot of Harry Carson. You were out there covering Charger games on the West Coast. The Giants didn't play a lot of primetime games. They didn't go to the playoffs every single year. So maybe you didn't see certain players. But nowadays, with DirecTV, with the amount of games that are on national television, the way we consume information, do you really need somebody to advocate? If you're on that list of people that vote for a Hall of Famer, how dare you not have an intimate knowledge of every player that will be eligible for the Hall of Fame?
To me, it's offensive that somebody has to advocate. His numbers should advocate for him. His resume should advocate for him. You shouldn't have a guy, beg these guys to convince them. Look at the tapes. Look at the numbers. I don't care if you've seen every game he played. It's terrible. So if somebody is a better advocate than another person, they're going to get in. If one of the people advocating for Eli is not as erudite as a guy advocating for. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous process. And why is it done in secrecy? I want to know.
Yeah, well, all these sports, hockey's the same way. You don't even know why somebody was voted down. I don't get it. It's not the Supreme Court. You shouldn't be held to any kind of a higher standard. You're lucky enough to have a vote. You explain why. Have that transparency. I also don't understand in this day and age, Michael, that even if you cover a team and you can say, well, on Sunday I can't watch every game, but you have the ability. If you have that vote, Michael, how do you not know everything there is to know about a player that's eligible for the Hall of Fame? I'm not asking you for a third-string center, but you're telling me that you cover the Giants or the Jets, that you can't have an educated opinion on how great Tom Brady was?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Or how great Drew Brees was? Or Brett Favre?
It's silly.
Or Christian McCaffrey? I mean, it's really.
Hey, to hit a home run, Don, everything meets a line of perfect.
The Michael K. Show on Yes is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more.
Hey, so I found a betting system that's really working great for me.
So did I. What's yours?
I set up an hour-a-week time limit on FanDuel. I can also set up wager limits, so I only bet what I can afford, and betting stays fun.
Right.
So what's your system?
What's that?
Your system. What's your system? What is that?
Every bettor has a system. Make FanDuel's responsible gaming tools a key part of yours.
Blue Chew? Yeah, you know Blue Chew? Yeah, it's those like chewable tablet things like... Oh, girl, how do you know Blue Chew?
Oh, man. Come on.
And it made you like him more, right?
Absolutely. Or you could...
Where do I get Blue Chew?
Well, you can go online and get your first month free, actually, so...
Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Get $5,750 total value on this Silverado LT when you trade in an eligible vehicle. That's 10% below MSRP. See your local Chevy dealer.
Popeyes has the best of both wings. Our juicy chicken is marinated to perfection with 2 distinct twists on all 6 flavors. Whether you prefer our spicy bone-in wings or our classic tender white meat boneless wings, we've got the best of both.
What a first impression for Jazz Chisholm Jr. Jazz has done it again.
Another Euro step and a no travel.
Putting on a show.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org.
This is the GMC Sierra, powered by the TurboMax engine, with the confidence of 430 pound-feet of best-in-class standard torque. GMC Sierra, it's the truck. Current eligible GMC lessees can get this low-mileage lease on this 2024 Sierra Elevation for around $389 per month. We are professional grade GMC.
Your memory is an amazing thing, but sometimes it can start to slow down. But did you know Prevagen can help keep your memory sharp? The secret is the powerful ingredient apoaquarin, originally discovered in jellyfish and found only in Prevagen. In a clinical study, Prevagen was shown to improve memory in subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired. Stay sharp and improve your memory with Prevagen. Prevagen, in stores everywhere without a prescription.
When I hit 80, I needed help around the home. A friend of mine told me to call Freedom Care, and they'll pay my granddaughter to take care of me.
Funded by Medicaid, Freedom Care allows people to choose who provides their care, and the caregiver gets paid instantly after their shift.
Life is sweeter with her around.
Nanny gave me so much joy as a child. Now it's my turn to return the love.
Call now to find out benefits and pay and how fast you can get started.
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here. Make a statement while barely making a sound. And command the road, as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters.
This summer, live life the way you want, with comfort and style that's truly untucked. At Untuck It, we create the perfect fitting casual styles from head to toe for every body. And yes, we've got styles for her too. We believe everyone should get to look and feel their best because life's moments are better lived untucked. Untuck It. Visit untuckit.com or more than 80 stores worldwide.
The Michael K. Show on Yes is brought to you in part by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center.
Visit linkedbylovetv.org to learn more about kidney disease, transplantation, and prevention. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
While Fanatics Fest NYC takes over the Javits Center August 16th to the 18th, join them for a powerhouse event with over 100 athletes, including Tom Brady, Derek Jeter, and Eli and Peyton Manning. Catch a star-studded Knicks panel featuring Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. Dive into interactive sports challenges like the 40-yard dash and score exclusive Topps card drops. Don't miss out. Visit fanaticsfest.com for the full athlete lineup. Be part of the first ever immersive sports fan festival at Fanatics Fest. All right, so Alan Hahn and I did a mashup show today. We called it The Wrath of Khan, Don. K and Hahn.
That's pretty good.
You liked it?
That.
Okay.
I
thought that was an Oscar Gamble laugh.
No, that was legit.
So we were very proud that we got the second highest rating of all the mashup shows. We passed the second place finisher, which was Don and Dave, which is a strong, strong combination. And number one is me and Rick. So me and Rick is number one. And Alan and I are number two. But next Thursday, Don, I think this could be the one that takes all the marbles.
Okay.
Tell me what you think. Mm-hmm. Reuniting Hahn and Humpty.
Well, you certainly think so, because you believe that that's a winning combination.
Yep.
That was broken up and not put back together. I think it'll do well. I don't think it's going to beat anything that you were involved in.
You really? I think it might. I think it will prove that it's really Hahn and Humpty that are the bedrocks. Do you have another show coming?
I do. I believe it's whatever that Tuesday is, that the 20th, August 20th, I believe, with Bart Scott.
Oh, the Dart Show.
The Dart Show?
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, okay.
Don and Bart. Dart.
So and that's probably the last one. I don't know if there's another one after that.
No, then we go to 10:50.
Well, then it's officially on.
Yeah, it's on, like, as you said.
Yeah, and I'm not worried.
Well, you don't worry about things.
Listen, our time at 98.7 was very enjoyable. But, we started this whole thing on 10:50. And we were able to get the Jets, Knicks, and Rangers on 10:50. We were able to build a huge following on 10:50. So, and now when you think of what we can do streaming-wise and how the world has changed, we're going to be fine.
So what we would tell everybody to do is reset your preset.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's imperative as we move closer to the date where we will not be on 98.7, you've got to download the ESPN app. It's free.
Yeah.
It's an app that works beautifully. You just hit the app and you hear what's on the air right then, or you could listen to any show that was on.
It is really terrific. My podcast is on there, different podcasts that are involved with ESPN, and it's all just one click away. I mean, as soon as you go to the app, bang, you're listening to the station. And then you can click wherever. And now with Knicks and Rangers, if they're on, you just click Knicks, Rangers, and you're able to get those games. And I don't know if I've told this a couple of times, but I don't think you were ever on when I did. You know when I use it, Michael?
When?
When I'm stuck in traffic in the tunnel. I don't know what happened. There was a time where you can get AM in the tunnel, but not FM. And then there was a time that it was reversed. Now you can't get anything.
But you can get Wi-Fi.
Right, but you can get Wi-Fi. And if I'm stuck in traffic, I just go right to the app, and I can listen. And like I said, it starts immediately. Bang, you're listening to the radio station. So it's free. Download it to your phone. And it's a great way to be able to access 1050 no matter where you are, not just in the city or home or in the car, anywhere. You could be in Tahiti, which apparently is owned by the French, watching the surfing from the beach in the Olympics and listen to the Michael Kay Show or Bart and Hahn.
Now, what we would like to
Rick and Dave.
just warn people about is if you have an electric vehicle, they don't have AM in electric cars. My wife has an electric car, and it just has FM or Sirius XM. And if you have Sirius, I guess you could still hear us because we're on that too. But if you don't have Sirius and you just have FM, you're not going to be able to hear AM. So just hit Apple Play and download the ESPN New York app, and you'll hear us.
Yeah.
You'll hear all the shows that you like. And so we're trying to get you all ready for that. And that's why we're doing these mashup shows that are not available as podcasts, because we want you to get into the habit of resetting at 10:50 a.m., because that's where we're going to be starting on August 26th. It's important. It's imperative. People's careers are on the line.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess everybody's career is on the line every day, right?
Every day. Steve in Long Island. Steve?
Hi, Steve.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm well. So my thunder got stolen a little bit by Brian on the earlier call, but the Eli Manning heroicism in the San Francisco game was just beyond. So after that game, I remember watching Inside the NFL, and because it was championship week, there were only 2 games that were covered for that hour. So they did basically a half hour of the Eli Manning show, and you could see from all of these camera angles how he was getting pummeled. He was getting destroyed, crushed. And by the way, if some of those hits were done today, they'd be 15-yard roughing the passer penalty.
Yep.
He just kept getting up. He kept getting up. He kept doing his thing, completing his passes. I'm telling you, that's Hall of Fame stuff. I mean, it has to be. And the 2 Super Bowls count. And, and it's not his fault that he played on lousy teams for so many of those other years.
I agree with all of that. I mean, and the last 5 years of his career, there were bad teams, and that changed the numbers as well. So they didn't have a great offensive line. They didn't have many great weapons for him. So that changed his record. I'm sorry, it did. It changed the numbers.
I know. I don't even think it's an argument, but I do think there are people that are, especially younger, maybe didn't watch all of his career or weren't Giant fans that just don't appreciate it and will fight the opposite. It's a feel thing, Michael. I know we like to dig into the numbers, and that's supposed to be the end-all, be-all in every argument. But that, like I said, that San Francisco game, that's the game you show people on what Eli Manning is about. And it wasn't a game he threw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, and they won going away. I mean, it shows the toughness of that position. And, oh, by the way, 210 consecutive games played. That shouldn't be a negative. Being a compiler means that you stayed healthy, and there were times you fought through injury. Remember during that 2007 season, Michael, he got hurt on opening day, and we thought he was going to be done for the year and never missed a game. So you can't tell me that there weren't times that he should not have been playing and played anyway. You don't play that many games in a row just on pure luck. That means you probably fought through some things to make it work.
Now, after that San Francisco game, Don, you'd say that Eli's probably in pain.
Yeah.
So if you were in communication with Eli back then, you would have told him what?
I would have said, hey, go see Dr. J.
Want to keep your hairline where it is? Through Hims.com, you can explore a range of options that work best for you, so you can grow visibly thicker and fuller hair in just 3 to 6 months. Keep it looking strong for years to come with doctor-trusted ingredients like finasteride, minoxidil, and a blend of supplements that support healthy hair. 3 in 4 Hims customers say they wish they started using hair treatment earlier. Get ahead now to keep the hair you love. Get started today at Hims.com.
We started to use Square. As we moved from one location to 2, we quickly realised that we needed better data so that we could customise the curation for each of the markets. Originally, we started with the KDS. By adding the Square Online for the full grocery offering, we hoped to grow sales about 20-25%. And we used the loyalty program, which has definitely generated a lot of repeat business. Since onboarding with Square, we've tripled the business. It's been fantastic.
With ButcherBox, you never have to worry about what's for dinner. We deliver grass-fed beef, organic free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, wild-caught seafood, and so much more. Get high-quality meat sourced from trusted partners with free shipping always, so you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
Let's explore your future with Udemy. You can learn how to program and build websites, study design and create logos, improve your presentation skills, and sell your ideas. With Udemy, you can learn practical skills from thousands of online courses taught by real-world experts. Explore your future. Udemy.
Acorns is built to put investing at the center of your money. Every time you pay for something, they invest the spare change. Every time you get your paycheck, they automatically invest a little bit of it. And even when you buy from some of your favorite brands, Acorns gets you bonus investments. Yes, that's what it means to be growth-minded, to find every chance you can for your money to grow. Acorns, grow your own.
I love my fruit to the root. I love my fruit, they a wonderful treat. I love my fruit, they so juicy and sweet. I love my fruit, every flavor and taste. I love my fruit, every color and shape. I love my fruit to the root. Fruits in my smoothies, mango so groovy. Melons and limes, sometimes I get choosy. Bananas for breakfast, blueberries for brunch, pineapples for dinner, fruit salad for lunch. Even though oranges don't rhyme, they don't. I'm still gonna eat them, they mine. I love my fruit, every flavor and taste. I love my fruit, every color and shape.
Is the same thing I see in you. It's your time. It's all about spotting it early. And if you do, no victory is out of reach.
Make this a summer to share in the 3-row Kia Sorento, the tech-forward Sportage, the available all-wheel drive Seltos, or the IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus Telluride, each one recommended by Consumer Reports. This summer, visit your local Kia dealer.
Get 0.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of select new 2024 Sportage and 2024 Sorento models.
Angels, and that leads us right now to Diamond Notes, brought to you by London Jewelers and driven to you by Nissan. So Louis Heel is going to start game 1, and they're going to call up Will Warren to start game 2. So Will Warren, you're allowed to have an extra player come up for a doubleheader, and the Yankees will bring up Will Warren to start game 2. He had pitched in Philadelphia, pitched pretty well in the game that they won. So it'll be Heel, and then it will be Warren.
And that was a surprise start when Cole couldn't go.
Yes.
He did very well.
He did very well after giving up that home run in the second inning, settled down, pitched very well. Also, Clark Schmidt threw 20 pitches in a session today, said he felt surprisingly good. That'll be interesting to see when Clark Schmidt's ready to come back, which I think would be probably the beginning of September. Who's going to leave the rotation? because I think it's going to come down to efficacy. Is Marcus Stroman still struggling? Is Nestor Cortez still struggling? Right now, a guy that you have to really pat on the back and say, you know what, you've done your job, Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon's given them 3 outstanding starts in a row. And I've said this before. I said this on Yes. I think I said it on this show as well last week. If the Yankees go on to do great things this year, you're going to look at that start that he had against the Red Sox when he gave them that outing on Sunday Night Baseball. Because their bullpen was shot after winning the game the night before in extra innings, and they were in dire need of a big start, and he pitched into the 7th inning. That was a big boy start. And since then, he's pitched well twice. So I think he's stepped up in a big way. He's mixing his pitches more, and I think that's really, really important. So kudos go out to him. Heel's been great since turning it around. You know, he had that flat spot, and you're going to need Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole's not going anywhere. As long as he's healthy, he gets the ball every 5 days. So it's going to come down. Clark Schmidt's going to replace either Marcus Stroman or Nestor Cortez. Now, I don't think either of those 2 guys translates well into the bullpen. So if they go to the bullpen, you know what it's going to be? They're going to be long men. That's all there is to it. Now, on the Mets side, Don, we're talking about this month being the month for the Mets. This killer road trip they're on right now. They have a game against Colorado tonight. But they also have another West Coast trip, which might be the West Coast trip that decides whether or not they're going to be one of the wild card teams. You have 4 games against the Padres and then 3 games against the Diamondbacks. Those are 2 teams in front of you right there. Those are important games, August 22nd through the 25th, and for the Diamondbacks, August 27th through the 29th. You got to win those games. Now, I guess if you split with the Padres, okay, you live with it. And, you know, if you don't get swept by the Diamondbacks, but those are change-worthy series where, you know, the reason I don't think the Mets are going to make it, and, again, I wouldn't be shocked if they did, but I'm just looking at the teams in front of them. Braves better, Padres better, Diamondbacks better. Let the Mets prove me otherwise, and those series are going to be big.
No, they're going to be big, and that's why you have to take advantage of when you have weaknesses in your schedule, all right? You've got 3 games coming against Colorado. Win them all. You come home from this road trip, you got 3 games with the A's, 3 games with the Marlins. You got to win 5 of those 6. You close out the month into September with 3 games in Chicago against the White Sox team, Michael, that looks like they're going to break the record for losses in a season. They're going to beat the Mets record. I mean, they've lost 21 straight games. They are 61 games under 500. So I agree with you. You got those 3 games against the Orioles. You've got the games against the Diamondbacks, the games against the Padres, but you have to win these easier games. You can't lose the 2 out of 3 like they lost against Anaheim. They played hard. They didn't catch some breaks. They couldn't hit with runners in scoring position. You got to win a series like that. But, all right, so you didn't. So now you got to steal a game in Seattle. You've got to now sweep against Colorado where maybe you would have just taken 2 out of 3. So I agree with you. Some of these, you know, the series against the Braves coming up in September is going to be very big. But it's not going to matter, Michael, if you don't take care of business against teams that are handing you wins. Colorado, Chicago, those are teams that don't care. Marlins have already sold off pieces. A's, they're counting the days until the season is over. You've got to take care of business against those teams, too.
All right, so here's the Mets starting lineup for tonight's game against the Rockies. Lindor leads off, Nimmo in left, Martinez a DH. Alonso moves back to cleanup. He had batted out of the cleanup spot yesterday, which is kind of shocking. Yeah. But maybe he needs that shock. Vientos at third, Iglesias at second, Torrens behind the plate, Bader in center, and Taylor had a big game yesterday. He's in right field. So Luis Severino, who did not make the trip to St. Louis, very smart of the Mets. They sent him ahead to Colorado. He'll get the start for the Mets. And as Don said earlier, Rockies stink. I'm not casting aspersions. They stink. They're terrible.
No, they're not good.
The only thing that makes them not the worst team in baseball is that the worst team in baseball, and it might be the worst team in baseball history, is the Chicago White Sox are playing in baseball right now. But the Rockies are dreadful. You got to go into Colorado. I know weird things happen in that ballpark. Jim Cott once said it best. It's like marbles in a bathtub. You got to win these games. I'm sorry. You have to. If you're a playoff team, you got to go into Colorado and smack the Rockies around.
And they had a nice history against the Diamondbacks. We'll see how that works out. So, listen, San Diego worries me because that's a good team that's underachieved in recent years. They retooled at the deadline. They're obviously going for it. We know how good the Braves are. But let's see what the Diamondbacks are made of. I'm not particularly worried until something happens about the Pirates, the Reds, the Giants, the Cardinals. And the Mets have been able to put them a bit in the rearview mirror, but they're like all 4.5 games out. So to me, this is 4 teams for 3 spots.
Yeah.
And then the Mets did a great job improving their bullpen. They've gotten better starting pitching than people could have thought. They struggled in Anaheim with runners in scoring position, but overall the offense has been good. And what I would say to Pete Alonso, it's not been a great season for you, but you've got a chance in these next 2 months to completely flip the narrative on your 2024 season. If he can get hot, Michael, and help this team make the playoffs, nobody's going to give a damn about what his final numbers are. They're going to think about how big he was in August and September, and then whatever happens in the playoffs happens. But they're going to forget about the 241 batting average, 23 home runs, 59 RBIs. Michael, he's on pace to really have a pedestrian season for him.
Well, he will end up with 35 home runs, maybe more.
Well, you really... That's 12 more home runs, Michael. I mean, that would be big. I wouldn't say.
But this is a guy that could put 12 home runs on the board in a month.
Then let's do it. I mean, that's where I think he can flip the script, right? If he's
Same
able
thing
to
with
do
Torres.
that. Right. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, right now it looks like that he's not handling the pressure of the contract and all that, and the Mets primarily have turned it around without his help. But he's got all of August, all of September to change that, to flip it. Let's see if he can do it. The Mets were able to change the narrative on their season. Let's see if Alonso can do the same.
Now, one of the things I talked a lot about yesterday, certainly got a lot of traction, and Awful Announcing picked it up as well, is the intentional walks to Aaron Judge.
Right.
So there were 3 intentional walks on Sunday. The one that was alarming was the one on Saturday. You know, he hit a home run in the first inning, 16th first-inning home run, ties Babe Ruth for the most ever by a Yankee. And the all-time record is 18 by A-Rod. He did it with the Rangers in 2001, so plenty of time for him to get 2 more first-inning home runs. But in the second inning, 2 outs, nobody on, he gets intentionally walked by John Snyder of the Blue Jays. And I think Snyder can do whatever he wants for his team, what he thinks is good for his team. But the reason he gave, I'm tired of seeing him swing. Oh, okay, your pitchers can't get him out, and that's fine. Not many pitchers can get him out. Then the next day, they walk him 3 times intentionally as well. I think that any manager should do whatever's at his disposal to try to win a game. And I think that what I said yesterday has kind of been misconstrued, that I'm talking just about Aaron Judge. What I'm talking about is it's an awful optic for a sport that you completely take the opportunity to play away from your biggest stars. So since I'm Yankee boy, let me recuse the Yankees from this conversation. Imagine if you go to Dodger Stadium to watch Shohei Ohtani hit, and he gets intentionally walked 4 times. How is that good for the sport? Tell me how that's good for the sport.
Yeah.
I'd like to know. Forget about Aaron Judge. It's not good for the sport. John Snyder didn't do anything wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong, because it's within the rules. But is it good for the fans that go to Dodger Stadium, that pay money to see Shohei Ohtani hit, and they don't see him hit? Or Dodger fans that watch on their network, they don't see him hit? Again, not a concern of Snyder's, but Don, I'll tell you what, it should very well be a concern of Major League Baseball, because in no other sport is a player not allowed to play. Like if you're playing the Chiefs, a coach can't say, you know what, Mahomes can't touch the ball in the 4th quarter. It would be unheard of. Now, you could blitz him, try to get him out of his game, and then let his greatness take over. Same thing with Steph Curry. You could double team him, but he can have the ball in his hand. You can't say you can't touch the ball in the 4th quarter. So when your faces of baseball, your Ohtanis, your Trouts when he's healthy, your Julio Rodriguez in Seattle, your Aaron Judge. Now, Aaron Judge is the face of baseball and one of the best shows in the game, and you just intentionally walk him. There's something fundamentally not right about that. Again, not a Yankee thing, and anybody that looked at it as saying, I'm just saying it because of Judge, clean out the wax in your ears, okay? That's not what I said. I'm saying baseball in general, it's not great when you lose the entertainment value of a game. The entertainment value is to see Aaron Judge hit, to see Ohtani hit, to see J-Rod hit. And if you take that away, that's not great for the sport. And I don't know the solution, Don, but I know one thing. It's not great for the sport.
No, it's not. And if you invented the sport today and you presented this design to people, the first thing that they would say is, well, you're telling me the star of the team only appears 4 times?
And 3 of the times he doesn't do anything.
We got to find a way to be able to promote the stars. That's what sports is supposed to be all about, right? I mean, at the end of that Game 7 between the Panthers and the Oilers, Connor McDavid was on the ice for almost the entire last 10 minutes. They were trying to get the tying goal, and you got to see the best player on the planet play in the biggest game of the year. Half the game, which is better than how much you play, less than a quarter of the game in baseball, and you're a slave to the history of it. Well, you've already made changes with the Manfred man at second base and the universal DH and universal interleague play, and so you've made changes. You can't, even if you outlawed intentional walks, you're still going to pitch around them. So the only way you could really solve the problem, I was thinking about this when you were talking about it yesterday. Is everybody right?
No, I just almost dropped my iPad, but I got it.
Okay, as long as you're good. Is what if you came up with something where once or twice, a designated amount of times, you're able to stray from the batting order? Meaning, hey, I've decided that one of my 2 designated times, I'm going to have Aaron Judge back to back. And we'll get somebody off the bench to run for him if he gets a hit or something like that. Find some way, like after the 7th inning, you're allowed once or maybe twice during the course of a game where I could say, you know what, I want Aaron Judge up in this particular spot for us. Would that be something? Would that take too much away from the integrity of the game? Because you can't outlaw the intentional walk, Michael. They just pitch around them.
All right. You don't have to do the intentional walk. You give him 4 pitches he can't hit. So there's really no way you could do it. But at least you could have the optics of him. He could chase a pitch if he wants to. And if you make a mistake with your waist pitch, he could actually hit it. But I said this yesterday, a fundamental flaw in baseball is that your best players are not there in the biggest moments of the game, the way the lineup plays out. And I've thought this for a while. The Dodgers, it's the 9th inning. They're down by 1 run at Dodger Stadium, and they have the bottom of the order coming up. Why can't Dave Roberts say, you know what? I want Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Ohtani to come up? Because in any other sport, who had the puck at the end, or is trying to get the puck? Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
If you're playing the Warriors, you know that Steph Curry's going to have the ball in his hand. If you're playing the Chiefs, you know that Patrick Mahomes is going to have the ball. And I know in baseball, for many people, it's like church. And if you change something so drastically, it is like a desecration of church. It's got to change before it kills itself. You've got to do dramatic things to change this game. The best hitters in the game should be up in the biggest moments. The other team's allowed to bring in their best reliever. Why can't you have your best players up?
And also, Michael, how about this? Like, why can't you change the rule of substituting a player back into a game?
Don, look at I'm sure you watched some of the Hall of Fame game. You see the new kickoff rule?
Yeah.
That is a jarring rule change.
Yes,
and the NFL does it, and they don't care if you don't like it.
And you'll eventually fall in love with it because whatever they're doing is trying to make it better. They don't feel like, well, this is the way that it's always been done. They were the first really to be open to making changes. And then hockey obviously did it out of necessity because of the lockout. The NBA has made changes too.
And you know what? The closest thing to what they did to Judge, right, is the Hack-a-Shack. The NBA changed the rules.
Right, exactly. And that's now if you wanted to, all right, like you said, all right, the intentional walk, you don't throw any pitches. Outlaw the intentional walk. At least make me maybe I make a mistake. Maybe I throw it over the plate. Maybe Judge decides to chase one that's too close to the plate. That's an easy thing to do. I don't think anybody would complain about that. Bang, done. But what about instead of the stupid Manfred man? If you really wanted to promote the game of baseball, Michael, what if in extra innings you can bat whoever you want?
I like that.
Wouldn't people really be excited? Like everybody's trying to capture the red zone, right? Like everybody's trying to figure out the beauty. All sports have tried to figure out a way to capture what the NFL's been able to do with the red zone. Can you imagine how interesting it would be if a game went to extra innings? Wouldn't you automatically turn it on knowing that the best players in the game are guaranteed to bat multiple times?
Carlos Mendoza is going to send up Lindor, J.D. Martinez, and Alonso in the 10th inning. Is that better than a fake man at second base?
Or you can even have the option of, you know what, it's the bottom of the 10th inning, I'm going to have Judge bat 3 times. And if he happens to get on, then we can use anybody on our bench to run for him. Aaron Judge is going to get 3 cracks here in the 10th inning to break this 1-1 tie. You tell me you wouldn't be captivated by that. And for the few people who'll be like, they're destroying my game of baseball, I'm sorry. You've got to figure out different ways to get people interested in what's going on. You've got some built-in things like the no-hitter. Like they find out Snell's got a no-hitter going, let's go check out the end of it. Every time a game went extra innings, can you imagine what the ratings would be, Michael, for just an average Yankee game if that game went into extra innings and you got to see Aaron Judge bat 3 times? Or you can go Judge, Soto, Judge in those 3 at-bats?
Because if people are rolling their eyes at what Don's saying right now, how much more ridiculous is that than a fake runner at second that appears for no reason?
Right.
You've fundamentally changed the way the game is played. So let's get really funky. All right. So in all likelihood, Don, this isn't going to happen. It's certainly not going to happen in the middle of a season.
Right.
So you've now got a Judge walking problem, and I've been thinking about a possible way that the Yankees could make this work. Now, there's no knock on Austin Wells, who's had a great month, but there's not a player in the game that you'd rather pitch to Aaron Judge than that player, except the guy who's hitting in front of him. So if this goes on, now Judge has 93 walks this year and 11 intentional, but 4 last weekend, and you wonder now, did John Schneider just give everybody the cheat code on how to deal with Aaron Judge? So if this goes on, what I would do, I would flip Judge and Soto. Mm-hmm. And here's why. Soto takes his walks anyway. You're not going to put Judge on intentionally and have to face Soto, who, if it wasn't for Judge, would be battling Bobby Witt Jr. for the American League MVP award. That's the only protection you could give Judge. Now, you can say, well, then who's going to protect Soto? Soto will protect himself because he will take the walks. Don't you want the guy with the 41 home runs to get an opportunity to swing the bat rather than the guy with the 27 or however many Soto has? I think that's the only solution for the Yankees because but people are telling me, well, Stant will give him protection. You'd much rather pitch to Stant than Judge.
That's the thing.
You'd much rather pitch to Rizzo than Judge. So the only guy that makes you think about walking Judge is Soto.
Now, the whole reason we're in this situation is because the Yankees are a flawed team offensively. I mean, that's a problem that they don't have, even though Wells is having a good month, and there have been times this year other guys have hit, it's really a 2-man show. And after Judge, you can take a deep breath, and that's why Judge is getting walks. Ultimately, it's a Yankee roster problem more than anything else. But this is something you could definitely do about it. Like you said, Soto's going to get his walks anyway. The one fault I'd have in Soto, and it's not really a negative, but some fans have called up to talk about it, is that sometimes you'd rather him swing at a bad pitch and hit it out than take the walk. But you know that he is not going to swing at a bad pitch. He's a savant that way. So, yeah, intentionally walking him is not that big of a deal. He's probably going to get a walk anyway. So at least get Judge that at bat, and then if Soto doesn't get pitched to, so what? He's probably not going to swing at a bad ball anyway.
Right.
So I think that would be easy. Now, is that something Soto wants to do?
Well, Soto always wanted to bat third. He wanted to bat third last year in San Diego. That was part of the problem.
That's what I thought.
And Judge had no problem batting second.
I would definitely that to me sounds like a good idea. But at the end of the day, the ideas that you're throwing out here, the only thing that stops it is the tradition of baseball,
and that's going to kill baseball.
But they've already broken from their tradition, Michael. They now have a clock. Oh my God, they put a clock. This sport's not supposed to have a clock.
And
nobody notices anymore. It's sped the game up, and it's worked beautifully. I don't like the Manfred man. I think it's ridiculous. But you do that. If we were having this conversation 5 years ago, Michael, it'd be laughable. That idea to put a runner at second base in scoring position in extra innings sounds as ludicrous as what we're talking about right now about multiple at-bats. And yet baseball did do it. So why can't you visit that? Now, there are some inherent problems. I mean, it's kind of insulting to the rest of the team when you say, I don't want you to bat in this situation. But you don't have to do it. But in certain situations where you feel like I've got a guy who's red hot, maybe it's not Judge, maybe it's just somebody, maybe
the guy
for some reason
matches
Volpe's
up
on a
better
tear.
or is hot.
Yeah, or Volpe's on a tear that we've never seen before, and I want him to get up against this guy. Isn't that better? Isn't that even? I think that's less radical than the Manfred man.
I agree.
I mean, the Manfred man screws even the stats, Michael. The stats are so important, and yet you're putting a runner at second base that nobody put on. He wasn't walked.
He actually made an out to end the previous inning.
Right. So, but doesn't that mess with stats? And you're giving up a run, but it's not to your run average because that runner's not supposed to be there anyway. Like all the reasons why you wouldn't do it, baseball did it anyway. So why can't you do this?
Well, those were Diamond Notes brought to you by London Jewelers. Visit London Jewelers today at any of their 7 locations, including the Americana Mall and the mall at Short Hills, and driven by Nissan. You deserve a car that thrills you, and Nissan's got an exciting full line that'll put goosebumps on your goosebumps. Experience the thrill for yourself. Shop your local Nissan store and NissanUSA.com today. I'm sure you all have an opinion on this. 1-800-919-3776. That's the number. It's Michael and Don till 6:30 right here on Yes and ESPN New York.
With ButcherBox, you never have to worry about what's for dinner. We deliver grass-fed beef, organic, free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, wild-caught seafood, and so much more from trusted partners with free shipping always. So you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
I'm Jesse's uncertainty. And home projects used to be my specialty until Jessie got Thumbtack. With her guides and plans, I don't stand a chance.
Uncertainty doesn't live here. You do. Take care of your home with Thumbtack.
We started to use Square. As we moved from one location to 2, we quickly realized that we needed better data so that we could customize the curation for each of the markets. Originally, we started with the KDS. By adding the Square Online for the full grocery offering, we hoped to grow sales about 20-25%. And we used the loyalty program, which has definitely generated a lot of repeat business. Since onboarding with Square, we've tripled the business. It's been fantastic.
Next week. Oh.
Introducing Pair Eyewear, where style meets versatility. Choose from a variety of frame shapes, each designed to fit every face and every style. With our swappable top frames, change your look in a snap to match the mood or moment. Elevate your eyewear and see the world through infinite possibilities. Pair up with Pair Eyewear, because your vision deserves the perfect frame. Glasses starting at $60, including prescription lenses.
Hey, does this suit look okay to you?
Yeah. It doesn't look too baggy? No, it's not baggy. Let's just, perfect. You look great. Right, Glenn?
It's good. Suits that actually fit for you and your crew. Rent from theblacktux.com.
There are a lot of us now, and it means so much when we can all be together, especially when we can do something good, like our yearly service project. We're also running a t-shirt fundraiser through Custom Ink to help raise more money and awareness for the cause. Our t-shirt fundraiser with Custom Ink makes it easy to share our campaign and help our community, and their design services team helped us get a design we love. I'm proud that we can make a difference together as a community. Come together for a cause. Get started today at customink.com.
Joan. Perfect timing. I have a few questions.
Of course. Let's look at your plan.
Hi, I'm Sally. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a flight nurse on a helicopter that specializes in trauma. I've been doing flight nursing for 24 years. I had a fear that I wouldn't be able to keep up. I wanted all the boost I could get. I heard about Prevagen from a friend. I read the clinical study on it, and it had good reviews. I've been taking Prevagen now for 5 years, and it's really helped me stay sharp and present. It's really worked for me.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Get $5,750 total value on this Silverado LT when you trade in an eligible vehicle. That's 10% below MSRP. See your local Chevy dealer.
At Spectrum, we know that internet is a vital tool to help you fulfill your dreams.
My dream is to become a video game developer.
My dream is to get my online college degree. That's why Spectrum has affordable solutions to keep you connected. At Spectrum, we are committed to delivering reliable, affordable internet and unlimited mobile to keep you connected to what matters most to you.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions about your life, your career, and everything in between that we've uncovered. They're all centered on numbers. Some of the numbers might be familiar to you, but they all add up to tell your story.
The Story of My Number, presented by the New York Lottery. Streaming now exclusively on the Yes app.
All right, listen up. Reset your preset with ESPN New York. Show us you're listening by uploading a photo of a device playing the ESPN New York app for a chance to win a once-in-a-lifetime experience with your favorite radio host. Head to the contest tile on the ESPN New York app to enter. This week's giveaway is a Nick Sweet night with Alan Hahn, plus a courtside shoot-around experience before the game. So keep it locked in all summer long for more great experiences. 1-800-919-3776. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Connor in Goshen. Connor.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Mike, I was listening to... Good. I was listening to you solo yesterday, and I started thinking about it. I think I might have a solution to the problem that would spread across baseball. It's not just specific to Judge. You know, Jacob can decide if it's point guard worthy and whatever, but I think anytime you have a lineup that you submit, whether it's Boone before the game, you designate one lineup slot that if that player walks, it's worth 2 bases. And it only doesn't apply when the bases are loaded. And that can be for any player on either team. And if that player gets subbed out of the game or is injured, whoever takes over then takes over that designation. And I think that would force pitchers to pitch to these guys, and it would add an extra wrinkle of strategy. I mean, basketball added a 3-point shot. That gave a full extra point. You know, I don't see why this is something completely unfeasible, even if it sounds a little radical at first. What do you think about this?
Well, I don't hate it. It's progressive thinking. You know, some of the things we had yesterday, Don, people said, well, have it 2 bases. But I don't think if you put the runner at second with an intentional walk, that would have stopped Schneider from walking him in the second inning on Saturday. He still would have walked him. I like the idea of having a manager have one intentional walk at his disposal. And again, for all you people like saying Yankee boy, I'm saying this about anybody. You don't want to have Ohtani walk 3 times intentionally either, or any other great player that you pick and choose. Right. So if you allow, and again, it's strategic, right, Don? One intentional walk. You got to choose when you're going to use it. And then if you go into extra innings, I guess you could use another one.
It's not bad. I like it. I mean, I don't think it's nearly as radical as the ones that we were coming up with. I think that's very doable.
Right.
And I don't think baseball necessarily needs more strategy, but for the old timers that just love that strategy, I guess it does add to it and gets the manager an extra thing he has to do. But in some of these cases, Michael, especially early in the year when the Yankees are really struggling beyond Soto and Judge, I don't know if the extra base would really make it that undoable. I still think he probably walks Judge in a lot of situations. 2 outs, nobody on. What's the difference if he's on first or second?
But think about that. Again, he could do whatever he wants with his team. What sense did that make doing that in the second inning? Why didn't you do it in the first inning? Why didn't you pitch around him when there's people on base? Did you think, I'll get him out this time? Well, he hit a 2-run bomb. So why didn't you walk him then? I think that in that first inning, Don, on Saturday, Soto was at second base.
Yeah.
It's a perfect opportunity to walk him. Instead, you walk him with 2 outs and nobody on. It doesn't make sense.
Unless he just saw something in that first at bat. That's it, man. Forget it. I'm giving you any chance to do it again. But we get texts like Anthony will text us whenever Judge hits a home run and goes, I don't know why anybody pitches to him. You do get to that point, Michael.
And I agree with it. And I just thought that the times that he chose were a little bit curious. They didn't seem to have a rhyme or reason to it. But I mean, anybody who pitches to this guy is crazy. But intentionally walking him. When I say pitching to the guy, why would you give him anything over the 17 inches of the plate? Make him chase, and if you walk him, you walk him. But actually to go after him with guys on base, you're out of your mind. You cannot get this guy out.
But it's counterproductive to what Major League Baseball is trying to do. You are trying to market your sport. And just by design of it, you could be actually too good for the sport's own good. Like, whenever is a player too good in any other sport? But in baseball, like whether it's Barry Bonds, whether it's Judge or any other player coming or Ohtani, where you're too good. We're not going to pitch to you. We're going to pitch around you. We're going to take you out of the game. It's not fun.
Let's go to Kurt in Port Washington. Kurt.
Hey, Michael. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. We spoke yesterday. I got 2 questions, one about Verdugo and one about Judge. But before I get to that, is it true that Bobby Valentine walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded?
No, that was Buck Showalter.
Yeah. Oh, it was Buck Showalter. So he walked him with the bases loaded.
He had a 2-run lead. Bonds was up, and Buck was the manager of the Diamondbacks. He intentionally walked him. Then I think the catcher, Brent Maine, was next with 2 outs in the 9th. Bases loaded, 1-run lead, and Maine hits a screaming line drive to right that the right fielder made a shoestring catch. Otherwise, it would have exploded in his face, but Buck could say, hey, it worked.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
I don't know if any other managers have that.
I mean, I can see that happening with Judge right now. The way Judge is playing, I could totally see something like that happening down the stretch. You desperately need, no offense to Austin Wells, but in a big spot with the game on the line, who am I going to allow to beat me, Aaron Judge or Austin Wells?
Right, and that leads to my next question. Do you think pitchers are having a hard time with Judge? I mean, the average player is what, 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2"? He's what, 6'7", 6'8"? Do you think? And Heel throws this incredible fastball, but it's high in the zone. Do you think pitchers are having a hard time with Judge because of his height? Because he's like 6'7", 6'8", and they're trying to throw a high fastball, and they can't get away with it.
No, I don't think that's it, Kurt. I just think that he's on a roll right now where there's no hole in the swing. Even Joe Girardi, who had him as a rookie, said he couldn't hit breaking balls in that year. He said he's now great at hitting breaking balls. He doesn't have a hole in his swing. Has nothing to do with his height. I don't think because he's been the same height the whole time, and he's actually having a better year this year than he did when he hit 62 home runs. He continues to get better.
And that's the other thing, too. Never mind wins and losses, Michael. We might be robbed of another really fun chase at a record.
Right.
Because he's just not going to get the opportunity.
Rich in Fort Lauderdale. Rich.
Oh, hi, Mike. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
I want to take a little peek into the future. I'm going to give you the 2025 Yankee team, and this is also going to ensure that they keep Juan Soto, okay? I'll start with the infield. Third base, Oswaldo Peraza. He's back. You know how good he is. Shortstop, Volpe. Second base, Jazz. First base, Ben Rice. Catcher, Austin Wells. Outfield, the Martian in left, Judge in center, Soto in right, Stanton the DH. The bench, LeMahieu and Cabrera, They cover all 8 fielding positions. Trent Grisham was a valuable 4th outfielder and your second catcher.
Well, I don't know if they'd go with Peraza at 3rd. I could see maybe. I think you got everything else right, but I do believe that what would happen is that the Martian would play center. I don't think you continue to have Aaron Judge in center field. It doesn't make sense. Aaron Judge's best position is right, and he's just the ultimate team player, and he's playing out of position. And I think it's just too much stress and danger to have him in center field covering all that ground. You know, he's 32 years old. You don't need that. Now, left field is big at Yankee Stadium, too, so there's no great solution because Soto wouldn't be good enough to play in left field. And the sad part is Judge is a better right fielder than Soto. But, you know, Soto's got to play somewhere. So you play him in right, Judge would be in left, and then the Martian would be your center fielder. Let's go to Joe in South Plainfield. Joe.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hey, Joe.
I wanted to chime in on the Eli Manning debate. Now, Eli Manning, statistically, he's in top 10. Pass yards, pass completions, and pass touchdowns.
Yes.
And
attempts.
2 Super Bowl. Yeah, thank you. And attempts. 2 Super Bowls to his name. And I don't understand what the hate is with this whole Eli Manning thing. I get it. He's not your day one starting fantasy quarterback.
That's it.
But that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But when the game counted, he was the man. 2-minute warning in 07 and 11, there was nobody better in those drives. Eli Manning was the man. He went into Lambeau. Him and Plexico Burress beat Al Harris like a drum in the snow, where Tom Coughlin seemed like he almost died that game.
Right.
2011, their defense was not that great, but it was Eli Manning who pretty much carried the team to win those Super Bowls. So I don't.
Well, Joe, you answered him. The answer is easy. People get caught up in stats, and his stats are not going to be comparable to Tom Brady, to his brother, or even to players like Tony Romo, even Dak Prescott. You look at Dak Prescott's numbers, Michael, are better than Eli Manning's during the course of the regular season. But are you going to tell me that Dak Prescott's better because of that when Dak hasn't had success in the second half and hasn't had success in the postseason? That stuff matters, but there are a group of people that are going to live and die by the stats. Never mind analytics, just the stats. And he didn't lead the league in touchdowns, and he only led the league in interceptions, and he didn't throw for 5,500 yards, and he didn't have a 75 completion percent. Yeah, I can't argue there. But watching him every Sunday, I saw a Hall of Fame quarterback.
I would agree. Let's go to Matt in Manhattan. Matt.
Hey, guys. Yeah, the Judge thing, it's I think it's a Yankee issue, not baseball. I mean, Soto is one of the biggest stars. He gets 4 quality at-bats a game.
Hey, what?
Soto gets pitched to every game, every at-bat.
Well, he has the same amount of walks as Judge. He doesn't get intentionally walked, but he gets walked.
Right, he walks. He gets pitched to, though.
Well, I mean, Aaron Judge has only been intentionally walked 11 times out of his 93 walks. It was just very stark this weekend where you think, did he just come up with a cheat code? Like, what's that game, NHL 94, Don?
Right.
Did they just find the cheat code? Is that what they're going to do? Now, I mean, the onus then falls on the guy hitting behind him to make him pay. But there's nobody that you could hit behind him that you'd rather pitch to Judge than that guy, other than the guy that's hitting in front of him. And I don't know if you'd rather pitch to Judge than Soto, but you're not putting Judge on in front of Soto. So, I mean, that's the only solution. I mean, we're not going to come up with a solution with the intentional walk issue on August 6th. But the Yankees have to protect Judge and get him at bats where he can actually hit the ball. And it's not just a Yankee issue. It's in every team issue. Do you want the bat taken out of the best players' hands where people paid, and for all you lunatics that are saying, I'm just saying this about Judge, any great player, do you want the bat taken out of Jose Altuve's hands? Do you want it taken out of Alex Bregman's hands? Do you want it taken out of any great player's hands? And the fans that paid to see the game don't see it. They don't see what they came to see.
And the only thing holding it up is it's just too radical. Baseball's been this way for 150 years, Michael. Why would you change it? Well, I'm arguing with somebody on Twitter now. Thinks the idea is stupid. Is it any stupider than putting a runner at second base in extra innings that didn't belong there, didn't get walked, didn't earn a hit? He's only at second because he made the last out the previous inning. And you worry about the stats. Well, how does it affect earned run average? Well, it doesn't. So I actually give up a hit, and it doesn't.
Yeah, I get a loss, but my ERA doesn't go up.
Yeah, it doesn't get charged to anybody. It's just in the ether. I thought these stats, Michael, were so sacrosanct. You couldn't mess with the stats in baseball. That's what makes baseball so pure, so great. Well, now you're messing with the stats. So now you've opened the door, where I think you can make some radical changes that actually makes the sport better and makes it more intriguing. And as you said, it's the only sport where the best players can get completely devalued by either not being due up that inning or the fact that they could be intentionally walked and you don't have to face them.
This is the best way to look at it, everybody. Name me the sport where the greatest player is not involved in the biggest moment. And the only one is baseball. Hockey, basketball, football, tennis, and golf. Obviously, it's two people, or in tennis it's two people. Right. Golf it's one. So the greatness is always on display. Baseball is the only sport where the ninth inning comes around and your best player might not be up because of the way the lineup turned around. And
again, think of it if you're in a boardroom pitching the idea of baseball to someone if it had never been invented.
Right, and the guy would say to you, wait a minute, so the best players aren't coming up in the biggest moment?
And how about this? And so what you're telling me is that because my best hitter isn't particularly fast, that if I decide to pinch run for him in a tie game in extra innings, he goes to the bench and is never allowed to come back in the game? In every other sport, I could take a guy out and put him back in. So we're just asking, how to make it better. And back in the day, Michael, when they were adverse to change, then the answer could be, well, Major League Baseball is very rigid. They don't like change. Well, they've added a clock. They've added a pitch clock. They've added the Manfred Man, universal DH. I mean, they're open to some change. So why not make a change that could actually make your sport more interesting?
Take a brief time out. When we come back, we'll find out who the point guard is today. Boy, they've got a lot to choose from. I won yesterday, Don, doing a show alone.
Well, that would have been
we do have callers that win it, but it would have been an insult. And I think that both Jacob and Thomas realized they'd be walking on hot coals if that happened.
I was going to say that was a really good career decision, guys.
Yeah, very smart. Let's see what they decide today. Kay, LaGreca, and you right here on Yes and ESPN New York.
Away makes luggage and bags that make packing, compressing, cinching, zipping, sliding, and going easier than ever. Away.
With Home Chef's new family menu, cooking for the whole family is so simple. You go from step 1 to done with practically no fuss. Simply prep, cook, and enjoy with the whole family. Get 18 free meals today at homechef.com.
The finest premium arena club in the world comes alive in Brooklyn. Welcome to Crown Club, the Brooklyn Nets' most exclusive club in Barclays Center. Featuring a menu curated by Major Food Group with Carbone Classics and a world-class wine list. To learn more about premium memberships at Barclays Center, visit brooklynnets.com/crown-club.
That's Aaron Judge. Yeah. Sometimes you get the feeling you're watching a Hall of Famer right in the middle of his prime.
The captain is rolling.
They're going to need a longer tape measure.
A monster blast. See ya. Wow.
The Bronx. Yes. Now streaming on the Yes Network.
2 words. Get here.
Go on an epic journey through the Bronx.
It's absolutely breathtaking.
Stream a new season of Bronx Beat, now on the Yes app.
Wait, where's your guitar?
I gave it to your cousin.
What? That guitar's like your favorite thing.
I don't need it anymore. Some days are just better than others.
I think you should go talk to someone.
It's not that easy.
Have you been thinking about suicide? You can talk to me, Dad.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Get your ideal combination of power and capability and experience hands-free highway driving technology with Ford Blue Cruise, available on select vehicles. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event, so make it yours. Make it now. Returning lessees can now lease a Ford F-150 for just $299 a month for 24 months, only at your local Ford stores.
Does RexMD really work? Over 85% of patients said not only does it work, they saw results the very first night. Get started today with a 3-month trial pack if appropriate at tryrexmd.com.
Hi. Deprioritized.
But it's a work call.
Oh, a work call? Deprioritized.
T-Mobile home internet relies on cell phone towers, so when their network gets busy,
Not the fridge. Come on.
you can be deprioritized.
It's too bad. It's a good movie. Yeah.
Forget T-Mobile cell phone internet. Get home internet that puts you first. Get Spectrum. Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Get $5,750 total value on this Silverado LT when you trade in an eligible vehicle. That's 10% below MSRP. See your local Chevy dealer.
I'm the Big C. I'm here to tell you about skin cancer. Skin cancer is the cancer you can see.
Is there skin cancer on me right now?
I'm not a dermatologist, but you know who is?
Hey.
Your dermatologist. Everybody has to get checked.
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here. Make a statement while barely making a sound. And command the road, as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters.
Why is just a starting line, for the true self blooms only when we find our purpose, what makes us tick, below the surface. Our reason why is united, undivided, seeking understanding. My why is diversity and unity, a safe space in my community. It's a million faces in a mirror, and everyone belongs. Find your why for a better us.
I thought a strong point. I don't know if it was the point God done. I think
a lot of good points.
You and I had a lot of good stuff today.
A lot of good stuff. And I think they were just kind of looking at how the show started, and it was kind of a funny bit.
Right.
Not in love with it, no.
Yankees rained out tonight, so I have some information that some people might need to know. It'll be made up tomorrow as the first game of a single admission doubleheader, and that begins at 4:05. So only tickets dated for Wednesday, August 7th will be valid for the doubleheader. So tickets for tonight's originally scheduled game, which is dated Tuesday, August 6th, will not be valid for tomorrow's single admission doubleheader. You can exchange it to an available ticket, a comparable available ticket for a remaining game, but it is not the ticket that you use for tomorrow because it's a single admission. So there's that. And the first game at 4 o'clock is on Yes, and the second game is on Prime. So the second game was always a Prime game anyway.
So we'll have Michael at 3. Michael will leave at 3:30, and then stay tuned to see whether it's me or me and Dan.
It better be. It better be just you.
Just a quick update. They reached out to Dan, and Dan said he'll see how he feels when his plane lands. And I text Dan. I told him to stand down.
See that? I'm surprised you made that public because I would have told Dan, do not do the show. But I'm glad you told them to stand down.
Yeah. No, I think part of what makes the show is that we're transparent. We let everybody know what's going on. So management wants Dan, and I'm fighting against the guy that I love, and I would love doing a show with him, but I don't know. Do they go these great lengths, Michael, to team you up with somebody, to team Dave up with somebody?
I think they look for spots for having me do the show alone. They should do that with you. I think it will uncover a side of you that we don't even know exists. It will be a beautiful side.
Well, I appreciate you having my back, Michael. That's very important.
No, I think that's the only way to go. Shame on the Pinhead Suits for even thinking about forcing Dan with jet lag.
Yeah, that's not nice. That's
it's spit. You know what? You ever have a cough and you spit up phlegm? Mm-hmm. And they just took that phlegm and they spit right in your eye.
Have a guy fresh off a 5-hour flight from California to babysit me. That's the way I look at it.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. It's the only way to look at it. Jordan in the car. Jordan.
Hey, Don, Michael, how are you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
I wanted to give a solution to the issue of not getting the best player up in the lineup when needed. I think it's a great point, but I also like to take into account the integrity of the game and how far it's come. But I do think this would be my solution. Especially in the Yankees case, you got Trent Grisham, Gleyber Torres, sometimes Anthony Volpe currently hitting 6, 7, 8, 9 in the lineup.
Right.
If Rob Manfred allows major league teams to allow one lineup swap a game, so this is how it would work. Let's say the 7 hitters due up in the bottom of the 9th, you're down 1. The first 2 hitters, they get out, and let's say Gleyber Torres is your last hope. Then Aaron Boone could say to the umpire, home plate umpire, the crew chief, hey, I want to swap Judge for let's say the 8 spot, and then Torres hitting in the 8 spot would then hit in the 3 spot. That would be my solution. I think that would make the most sense. That's what I have to say.
Not bad. I think that baseball has to be forward thinking, and there has to be some changes. You know, I mentioned this yesterday, Don, and I believe it. The NBA had all their television contracts up, and they made a truckload of money, and they got streaming service. They did everything. If Major League Baseball had its contracts up, would it have the same deal as the NBA? And I'm going to tell you, Major League Baseball has comparable ratings to the NBA. Their World Series and the NBA Finals about the same. Baseball's All-Star game is better than the NBA, but there's something about the NBA. It's a star-driven league, and here it's kind of the stars are hidden in the biggest moments. But something has to change.
But where baseball takes the hit is the day in and day out. Where, the World Series numbers are comparable to the NBA Finals, but you put a game on ABC on a Saturday night, it's going to do a much better number than Sunday Night Baseball. It's just, that's a fact. So the day in, day out, because it's driven by the stars. People want to see certain stars, and they know they're guaranteed to see that star. That's the other part, Mike. You're not even guaranteed to see him.
Right.
It might be a day game after a night game, or just analytically, it's going to be his day off.
Well, the NBA has that problem, too.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying baseball has that on top of the fact that their best players are going to really only guaranteed 3 at-bats. Right? Most of the time it's 4 or 5, but you're only guaranteed 3 at-bats. Judge is going to make a diving play 1 out of every, 50, 60 games. So, but if I go to a hockey game and Connor McDavid's playing or Sidney Crosby's playing, I'm going to see him play 20-plus minutes. May not score, but I'm going to get a chance to see him do something. LeBron James on his worst day is more entertaining than watching Aaron Judge get walked 3 times.
I agree. All right, we got so much more to do. We'll take more of your phone calls, a little bit more insight on the Malik Neighbors fight today. We both like it, but when you take a closer look at what happened, maybe we don't. It's Kay, LaGreca, and you on Yes and ESPN New York.
Listen, I spotted it from the start. Breaking didn't even have a name yet. All that potential, just waiting to burst free. I think about every battle. Kids from the South Bronx who didn't just knock on the door, they kicked it down. And today, what I saw in us is the same thing I see in you. It's your time. It's all about spotting it early. And if you do, no victory is out of reach.
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here. Make a statement while barely making a sound. And command the road as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters.
Your memory is an amazing thing, but sometimes it can start to slow down. But did you know Prevagen can help keep your memory sharp? The secret is the powerful ingredient apoaquarin, originally discovered in jellyfish and found only in Prevagen. In a clinical study, Prevagen was shown to improve memory in subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired. Stay sharp and improve your memory with Prevagen. Prevagen, in stores everywhere without a prescription.
Not every decision you make will be as good as getting a Volkswagen at the Savvy VW Summer Sales Event. 2024 Volkswagen models cost less to maintain than Honda. Get 0.9% APR financing or a $3,500 customer bonus on a new 2024 Atlas or Atlas Cross Sport.
Listen, I spotted it from the start. Breaking didn't even have a name yet. All that potential, just waiting to burst free. I think about every battle. Kids from the South Bronx who didn't just knock on the door, they kicked it down. And today, what I saw in us is the same thing I see in you. It's your time. It's all about spotting it early. And if you do, no victory is out of reach.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Get your ideal combination of power and capability. And experience hands-free highway driving technology with Ford Blue Cruise, available on select vehicles. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event, so make it yours. Make it now. Returning lessees can now lease a Ford F-150 for just $299 a month for 24 months, only at your local Ford stores.
The Michael Kay Show on Yes is presented by Untuck It. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
This portion of the Michael Kay Show is brought to you by Security Dodge. See Michelle Scalisi and come get some. So we talked about this earlier. Malik Neighbors was in a brawl. You know, the Giants are scrimmaging against the Detroit Lions. Lions are in East Rutherford. And we said, you know, that's good. I want a player with some attitude. But if you watch the video, which I just did, Neighbors threw an elbow at a defender. They had just defended a long pass that Neighbors was trying to catch. He didn't do it to the guy that was defending him. Now, the guy who got elbowed in the head might have said something to Neighbors, but that's going to happen all the time. Trash talk happens all the time in sports. He hit him with an elbow in the helmet. I mean, they're wearing the Gazoo helmets, which happens to be good, but that's not a good look, Don. That's something that Brian Dable has to curb. You cannot have a player who's going to be really important for you getting into those sort of skirmishes during games. You're going to get thrown out.
Now, Tyron Arnold was the player that was hit. Now, he's claiming, Neighbors, that he was congratulating him on a nice play.
Now, that's a lie, right?
Looking at the video, I would say yes, because that is not the way you congratulate somebody. He was going by him, looked like he kind of hit him in the helmet, so it wasn't like a high five, wasn't like he was trying to tap him on the shoulder. So it doesn't. If he was trying to congratulate him, that's an awkward way of doing it.
Well, let's hear from Neighbors.
Oh, nah, it's the competitive me and Arnold, you know, we talk almost every day about just competing, how great we want to be. So it's nothing against him, you know, he's my brother, so I'm going to give him the work he needs. He's going to give me the work I need, but it was just, I was tapping him on the helmet, good play. That's all it was. And then, you know, somebody comes up, running up to me, said a few words, and rest is that.
So, Don, next time I think you'd have a good shot at elbowing you in the side of the head.
Listen, he's got protection. He's got a helmet. Nobody was going to get hurt by it, but you can't tell me that was congratulatory. It was awkward, and it kind of looked like it was, you know, hitting him in a malicious manner.
Now, one thing I did like, Devin Singletary came to his defense. Even if he's wrong, he's your teammate. Right. Singletary was right in the middle of it. That's a good sign.
And the funny thing, Michael, is you look at the reaction of the crowd, and the Giants had a good crowd out there. They're all loving it. You know, the person that had the video, you can hear them screaming. You know, fans love that. So if he's looking to get acquainted with the fans, hey, listen, he's going to have to catch passes. Giants are going to have to win games. But looked like he had the fans behind him there. Probably not much ado about nothing, but didn't look like it was congratulatory in any way. But you do that in the game, and it costs you 15 yards, or maybe get you thrown out of the game. We saw that with Odell against the Carolina Panthers, remember?
Yep.
Probably the game that cost Tom Coughlin his job, and of not handling that the right way. So let's see. Hopefully Dable will handle this better than Coughlin handled Odell, because remember, Odell was the best part of the Giants back then, and nobody wanted to say, you know, boo to him, let him do what he wanted to, and look what ended up happening. So hopefully, you know, we heard on Hard Knocks, you know, Dable wanted to make sure that all of these new possible draftees were going to be had a good head on their shoulders and all that. There's competitiveness, there's fire, and then there's crossing the line. And we saw Odell cross the line a couple of times, especially in that Carolina game. Giants are not going to be good enough to be able to overcome mistakes like that during the course of the season.
Yeah, it's just a bad look. I mean, hit him in the head. And if he was congratulating him, then why did the guy go after him? Right?
Well, clearly he didn't think that, you know. So, but I guess we're going to believe what we want to believe. But if he's telling the truth, Michael, he's got to come up with a better way of congratulating an opponent, because there's going to be a lot of misunderstandings.
It's so funny. Like a lot of players really think that we're morons. That you can drop that kind of excuse, and it's just not true. You can see from the video it's not true.
But people are going to believe those types of things, right? I'm sure there's a lot of Giant fans out there saying, yeah, he was just trying to congratulate him, but it was just awkward, because fans are fans, right? They're fanatics. They're going to support their guy. And I want to support him too, Michael. I'm a Giant fan, but that is stuff that it's fun in scrimmages and all that, but these are things that you don't want to see happen on the football field. I saw it with Odell, and you don't want to have to see it happen again. I'm not killing Odell. He was a great player here, but the Giants were not a great team. You know, as good as Odell was, they had that one winning season with him, and it kind of went off the rails. And that Carolina game is a good example of that. And at the time, because he was their best player, and as much as I love Tom Coughlin, and I think he deserves to go to the Hall of Fame, he mishandled that situation, because he didn't know how to handle the diva that was their best player, and that gave him the best chance to win. That might be a situation here this year with Neighbors, right? There's so much attached to this kid being good. The future of their quarterback is going to rely on Neighbors being good. They took him 6th overall. Now, but that doesn't mean he gets to do whatever he wants.
While you were away, Bill Barnwell of ESPN and Peter and I just totally disagreed. I'm sure you might as well. Said the Giants can be the worst team in football. I don't see how that's possible.
No.
To me, the worst team in football is 2-15. That's not a 2-15 team.
I'd like to know what he's basing that on.
He just said they have no talent.
As bad as they were last year, you saw in the second half of the season they were better, and they weren't the worst team in football. And I think they've gotten better. They've strengthened the offensive line.
You tell me they're worse than the Commanders and the Panthers?
You tell me they're worse than they are last year. What, just because Saquon Barkley's not here? Listen, I do think they took a little bit of a step back because I don't think Singletary is as good as Barkley, but they wouldn't have been able to add an edge pass rusher and two really good offensive linemen had they kept Barkley. So they're better on the offensive line. We'll see how it all pans out. But I'd love to have them on to know what exactly. They have no talent. Well, they drafted what looks to be a transcendent wide receiver, a healthy Daniel Jones. Well, however you feel about him, you have seen sparks from him. He was good enough to make him make the playoffs last year with not very much talent. I think they've got a really good coach. It got away from them early last year. They strengthened it. Thomas is coming back. That offensive line should be better. Got a couple of weapons. I think the defense could be better with Burns. Again, I'm not predicting playoffs. I think I had them with 8-9 wins. That may be good enough. It may not be. But the worst team in football? Interesting.
And you know who seconded it? Joe Fortenbaugh. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think the coach is too good.
Well, that's the thing, Michael. If you're going to tell me that they are going to you consider yourself an expert, and those guys I consider very good at what they do. You cannot then say that they've got the right coach because they were not good last year. They were the 6th worst team based on where they drafted. And if they take a step back after making the acquisitions that they made, then what you're telling me is you don't think they have a very good coach. There's no way you can think they could be the worst team in football and believe in Brian Daboll. There's no way. Coach has too much responsibility in football to tell me that you like him and yet still think he'll coach the worst team in football.
Now, on the Jets side, they've been having a couple of problems on the exchange between Center and Rodgers, so that's a Tippmann problem, and he's got to get right. But the thing that jumps out to me, Don, the Reddick situation continues to go on. It's such a bad look for Joe Douglas. This is costing this guy $50,000 a day that he's not going to get back. So it's been 2 weeks now. Now you're going to affect how he's going to play. This is a new team.
Well, Rich Cimini said don't worry about it until it affects the first preseason game.
Well, that's Saturday.
Saturday's the first preseason game. So, listen, it's only Tuesday. I guess he could sign tomorrow and be ready to play in the preseason game, but it doesn't feel like we're trending in that direction. Now, how bad the Jets end up looking will depend on what the contract is. Maybe he blinks and they get exactly what they want out of him, and if they get him signed this week, Michael, then I think they can salvage it. But we'll see how much time he misses because it's getting late.
Well,
we're already into August.
If you're Reddick, right, and you end up coming back without a contract, and you lost all of this money, what a dumb play. The only way it's a good play is if the Jets capitulate and give him an extension. If they don't, they're not allowed by the basic agreement. Because football doesn't want players holding out that have contracts. They cannot give him back the $50,000 fine each day.
Right.
So it's already over $500,000 he's given up. If he doesn't get that contract extension, he's really, really dumb.
No, it looks bad. Looks really bad. I still think it's early enough, certainly, for it to be salvaged. And, based on how we treat these preseason games, is Rodgers going to play? Is he not going to play? They're down to 3. Guys, if they're lucky, will play in 2, get a handful of snaps. So I'm not really even sure how important actually playing in these preseason games are, but it's just the time and getting the timing down. He's on a new team. He's never played with his team before. He's going to need time to work with them before you hit it for real. And it's getting close. We're a month away. So how much time will it take for him to get ready? We'll see. But as each day ticks by, and the more the fines go up, tells you maybe he's really digging in.
Wow. Let's go to Tim in Sag Harbor. Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hey, boys.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Good.
Second-time caller. Love listening to you guys right from day one.
Thank you.
So I have my point is kind of like double-headed. One, everybody always tries to throw the MVP or the actual World Series thing into the Kirby Puckett argument with regard to Don Mattingly.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I understand it. It doesn't give you any indication of who hit behind him, who hit in front of him, who hit wherever. But Joe Mauer, what is Joe Mauer's excuse? You look at the numbers; it's ridiculous.
I think it's the batting titles.
Yeah. And the position they play.
It's the batting titles. I mean, he won 3 batting titles as a catcher. It just it never happened before.
If Joe Mauer was a first baseman and outfielder, he might not get in. But the fact that he put those numbers up as a catcher, I think, was probably what made it happen.
Let's go to Barbara in Florida. Barbara.
Hey, Barbara. How you feeling?
Hey, I really enjoy your program. It's great.
Thanks.
And I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. First of all, Gleyber Torres. You were right about everything you said, except you were leaving out the fact that certain people don't make mental errors on the bases. They don't make all those errors. I think he's leading the league in his second baseman in errors.
Yep.
And the only reason I feel sorry for him at all is because he wants to be a Yankee so bad that it's playing with his head and he's losing millions of dollars because of it.
I would agree with that, Barbara, but that doesn't explain all the mental errors he's made over the years, and the fact that optically he does not look like a player who's always has his head in the game. Listen, I said it over and over yesterday. Don wasn't here. I'll repeat it again. I don't blame Boone for what he did. I blame baseball for allowing this to go on. He's been a big leaguer for 7 years.
Right.
And he's watched guys like Josh Donaldson hit the ball off the wall and not run. He's watched his own teammate, a transcendent player in Juan Soto, do it over and over and over again. In fact, the day after Gleyber was benched, Soto hit one off the top of the wall, well, a Sunday, and watched it. And now he got to second base, but he watched it. So I have one little rule, and I don't think that Major League Baseball will ever do it because they don't want to stop players from celebrating. You run hard until the ball clears the wall. Then you can moonwalk around the base. I don't care. Cartwheel. But the fact that you're watching a ball, and if you're Gleyber Torres, Don, imagine if you told your twins, how old are they, 6 now?
Yeah.
You told your twins you can't do you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and all of a sudden, when they're 7 years old, you say, oh, you can't do that anymore. Well, why?
Well,
that's what happened with Torres. Well, I've been doing it for 7 years.
Yeah, but you know what? I shouldn't have to tell you how foolish you look by not giving a better effort, but especially when you're struggling.
It's all on him. I get it, but he's watching teammates being allowed to do it.
All right, but don't you know what? If that was his retort to me, I would say, well, you're not Juan Soto.
But
I don't like when Juan Soto
you know
does
what?
it
He's
either.
not much different than the Josh Donaldson that they had for 2 years.
All right, and what happened to Josh Donaldson? He got booed out of town, and he's out. And his legacy with the New York Yankees has been completely washed by that negative. Even though he did some really good things here, doesn't matter. What they remember is a guy not giving his all, and it's getting repeated now every time somebody does it. All Josh Donaldson name gets brought up. So how do you think he feels about that? So, all right, I don't like when Juan Soto does it either. But when you start putting numbers up like Juan Soto, it'll be a little bit more forgivable. But you're not having a great season in your walk year. You so desperately want to be a Yankee, as Barbara from Florida said. The one thing you can control is your effort and your optic. So I'm sorry. I understand other players do it, and I understand that Major League Baseball is an enabler. But just look yourself in the mirror. Are you putting the numbers up that allows you that same kind of pass?
He should be ashamed of himself in a contract year where he could set himself and his family up for generations, and he's turning in this sort of performance. And I think a lot of it is the pressure because he wants to be a Yankee so much. There are players that react well to it. Aaron Judge went out and hit 62 home runs. Soto's having a transcendent year. And Alonso's been terrible. Some guys handle it, some guys don't.
Right, but I'm not even going to fault the player for that because it's really hard to play Major League Baseball on an elite level. All right, he picked a bad time to have a tough year, but those things are going to happen, and he's going to cost himself money. But, some of that's in your control, but a lot of it's out of your control. But the one thing that's in your control is to give 100% every single time.
And that's why I say that Boone was correct But I think that baseball as a whole allows this to go on. They allow it to go on.
Right. But in every sport, Michael, there are going to, in every sport.
Jordan rules. I get
There's going to be those types of rules, and they're usually reserved for the elite. So I would say to Gleyber Torres, you know what? You can't afford to do that. You're not elite, and you're not having an elite season. So you should try to give 100% in the things you can control to at least optically make it look better than to pull that. Again, I'm not excusing the Stars, but that's life. The Stars are going to get a pass. The guys that are in their walk year and having a terrible season, they're not going to be given that same kind of grace period.
Again, this portion of the Michael K. Show is brought to you by Security Dodge. Shop 24/7 at securitydodge.com during their Make This the Summer event. Let's go to Mike in Montclair. Mike.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good, Mike. What's up?
Appreciate it. I want to just touch on the Aaron Judge intentional walk issue.
Okay.
My theory would be, if you want to intentionally walk the guy, let's make this a two-base intentional walk. In other words, if Judge is up and there's a guy on first, Judge is automatically on second, and whoever's ahead of him moves up. I think that would really deter managers from really intentional walking, and it'll add some more thought to the process of walking Judge.
Well, a couple of people have brought that up as a solution, Mike, and I could see that being a solution. But again, if we look at the second inning on Saturday, Schneider still would have walked him if it was a two-base walk.
Yeah.
He just didn't want him to hit. He didn't think that Austin Wells would make him pay.
And I'm seeing a lot of ideas. Allow just one intentional walk. You can't intentionally walk a player to start an inning. Fine, but I can still pitch around him. All right? I can't do the automatic intentional walk, Michael, but if I want to walk Judge, I'll walk him.
Right.
There's no way you can stop me from throwing 4 balls. Now, I still would rather see that than to not throw a pitch at all, because maybe I'll make a mistake. Maybe I'll throw a wild pitch. Maybe he'll chase one. But if I want to pitch around him, I'll pitch around him.
It's funny, I'm seeing some of the exchanges you're having with a guy on X where the guy goes, oh, the Manfred man, you should be ashamed if you can't get a run. That's not even what we're talking about.
No.
We're just saying that, okay, you came up with the Manfred man, so you're willing to do something totally off the wall. So do something that really would the Manfred man is dumb.
Yes.
You're going to reward a team, a guy who made the last out of the 9th inning to start at second base and score the run. Yeah, we know that a good team should be able to plate that run. Get it. Got it. Good. My point is, do something funky. Do something better. Make sure your 3 best hitters come up in the 10th inning instead of the foolishness of an inherited runner.
Right. And it's VP who I've been going back and forth with, and it's been cordial, but he just thought that, the idea was absolutely ridiculous.
But that wasn't our idea. It's amazing what people hear.
But we were just coming up with just some different radical. I don't think anything's more radical than putting somebody at second base that doesn't deserve to be there.
That doesn't exist, essentially.
And the reason that the Manfred man got brought up is he's like, so all right, so if Judge bats 3 times in the 10th inning and he walks, then who runs for him? I was like, well, anybody on the bench. How is that any different than the Manfred man? Just take somebody who made the last out the inning before and just throw him at first base to pinch run for Judge. Again, I'm not sure how I feel.
Yeah, I don't love that. I love the fact you could send up 3 batters. I don't think I'd want to send the same batter up 3 times.
But I'm just saying, why can't you just have a conscious conversation of, all right, we won't put Judge up 3 times, but why not? Hey, we can now. What we do is like the shootout in hockey. Game's over. I submit my 3 players that are going to go in the shootout.
Right.
So it's now the 10th inning. I'm now going to redo the lineup. Here are the 3 players that I would like to start the 10th inning. And then when you get to the 11th inning, all right, we're going to start again. Here are the 3 I'd like to start the 11th inning, right? You start it. I don't think it's any more radical than the Manfred man.
Because, I mean, they've already veered from reality with the Manfred man.
Right. Hey, and listen, it's not unprecedented. We've got the shootout in the NHL, right? You're only allowed 1 time to go unless they go through everybody on the team. That's never happened. But in Olympic hockey, I could send the same guy out there.
Right.
Back in 2014, TJ Oshie went out there every time and took every penalty shot against Russia. That's just wouldn't that be better, Michael? Than or my best guy goes and now he's done and doesn't get to shoot again. Like, so it's not that crazy. It's compared to the Manfred man. Believe me, Michael, if we were having this conversation 5 years ago and somebody suggested putting a runner at second. Be like, what are you talking about? He doesn't even deserve to be there. Well, it happened.
Yep. Let's go to Adam in the car. Adam.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
How you doing?
It's just doing all right. It's a little lazy, the Neighbors Beckham comparisons. We're talking about just because LSU wide receiver. I get it. The other thing, you're misquoting you're not misquoting what he said after the fight. He was saying he was congratulating the corner that was on him, the corner that defended the play. Then he got in the face of the safety, whoever came over that was talking trash to him.
But obviously he didn't congratulate him. That was I don't know what was going on there.
Adam is saying that he said he congratulated the guy that covering him in the end zone. But still, that's no reason to throw an elbow at the other guy.
Well, we don't know what the other guy said.
I don't care if the guy said anything. Why would you start a fight like that? I mean, there's trash talking sports all the time.
Michael, you watch this training camp, these joint practices. These guys are fighting every day. It happens in training.
Well, then just say that then. He said, well, why can't you just say he said something to me? So I threw a punch at him. Why not just own it?
You expect a rookie to come out and say he punched the guy just because he was talking? And then
do you expect a rookie to start a fight in training camp?
Well, but he did it. I'm just saying, why not own it? But no, the reason I brought up Odell Beckham is that you don't want it to become a thing where this stuff is allowed. That's all. Again, it's not lazy. It's that, hey, the last time they had a transcendent wide receiver was Odell Beckham Jr., who was asked to try to save the Giants' bacon, like we have here with Neighbors. And now you see something where 5 minutes into training camp, and you see something like this. Probably not a big deal, no. But you saw in Hard Knocks, it was a thing. They wanted to make sure that these are the types of players that they don't draft. So it's something to keep an eye on. That's all. We both, in the beginning of the show, Michael, were like, oh, fine, who cares?
Yeah. But then when you see the video, it doesn't look great.
Yeah, that's all.
Doesn't look great.
But see how people are just going to automatically defend because it's their guy. That's what emboldens these players more than anything else, is there'll always be somebody that'll be alongside anything they say.
Well, as long as a newly thin Brian Dable doesn't let him get away with it, then that's fine.
Pilates and Wyckoff, how about that?
Oh, my God.
Nice
I almost thought he was going to your kickboxing class. He looks terrific.
You know what? He should.
You're a big
I'm not close to
that.
Wyckoff. Listen, I love Kimball.
Don, it's been a blast. It's like you never left.
Throwback. Thank you.
Like
Welcome
you
back.
never left.
Nice to be back.
Tomorrow, we start again at 3.
That's right.
It should be fun. In the words of Billy Joel, life is a series of hellos and goodbyes. I'm afraid it's time for goodbye again. See you, everybody.
That's a wrap on the show for today. For all of us here on The Michael Kay Show, this is Chris Sheeran saying have a great night. We'll see you next time. Show on Yes is presented by Untuck It. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
This summer, live life the way you want with comfort and style that's truly untucked. At Untuck It, we create the perfect fitting casual styles from head to toe for every body. And yes, we've got styles for her too. We believe everyone should get to look and feel their best because life's moments are better lived untucked.